Welcome back to the Cross Border Interviews live from the CCMA Media Row on this beautiful Friday morning. That's right, 6 o'clock in the morning. We decided to come in and do 4 hours of full-length shows, and we're going to have guests on throughout the full 4 hours. But I am pleased to welcome our first guest to the show. Introduce yourself, boys, because so that way our listeners will know and our audience will know who you are.
Yeah. Brad.
I'm Ryan.
We're Fleischer. That's based on our last name. We're brothers from just up the road in Airdrie, Alberta. Born and raised, and yeah, stoked to be here.
So, is this your first time performing at the CCMAs? Is this a lifelong dream of yours to be here, to be part of this beautiful scenery of country music stars from coast to coast to coast descending upon Calgary?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, second time at the CCMA. It's first time performing. Yeah, so
okay.
3 showcases throughout the weekend, and then a full band show on Saturday. And yeah, we're super excited.
Now, before we started the show, we were talking, and you did perform yesterday, which was Thursday. And how was that performing for your first CCMAs?
Loved it. Yeah, it was a great experience. We had 2 showcases. It was somewhere in Alberta, put on by Catavallo Entertainment, and then. Second one, we ran straight over to the Metropolitan where we did the CMAB showcase. So, yeah, just felt amazing in the room. Of course, like everyone's just been dying to get together after, what we've all been through. And
so let's talk about that, because it has been a rough 2 years for
course,
people
yeah.
in the music industry. How did you guys cope with it? How was it trying to still perform, still get out there, and still get your music heard, but also record in a worldwide pandemic?
Yeah, I think our mom always quotes, there's this line that kind of says, accept the things you cannot change and change the things you can. And I'm sure everyone knows the quote. I'm not going to try paraphrasing. Oh, she sure does. But like that's kind of what that was all about, I think. We just kind of accepted the fact that there's certain things we had control over, and that was just writing. We knew that we had control over the ability to just keep writing songs, keep connecting. Luckily we all have the tools that we have, the technology to stay connected in any way we could. And so with that kind of thing, we just made the best of it. Wrote a lot and just prepared ourselves for when things opened up, and here we are.
So as the brother dynamic here, and sorry to jump in, but how did this start? Was it a band way back when, and where was the love of country music coming from?
Yeah, so it's funny. We actually started, we played our first show when I was 13 and Brad was 14. We played that as a classic rock cover band. And
so classic rock to country, that seems like a jump if I've ever heard one.
A little bit, but at the same time, it's funny when you listen to a lot of those classic tunes, there's country elements.
Well, it's like we were growing up listening to Bruce Springsteen, and like, how many songs in country music now reference the guy. And so yeah, it didn't seem like too big of a jump to us. Like what drew us to classic rock so much too was the optimism and the grit and the passion, and there's a lot of that staying true in country right now. So
yeah, we grew up in a very like blue collar type household, and yeah, we did listen to a lot of 90s country back in the day too.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
And on the way to Dad's job sites, helping him at work. So there's the country isn't. It isn't actually it isn't a stretch for us.
So what does music mean to you though? Because I always ask that to artists, and I always find it interesting when they tell me where and what music means to them, because it could be a range of things. It could be an emotional connection, it could be a spiritual connection. For you guys, where does music come from, and what does it mean to you to perform, get up on stage, particularly so close to your hometown? I know you're from Airdrie, and as I said beforehand, if you're from Airdrie and you're from Calgary, we won't hold it against you, but to be here in Calgary to perform, what does that mean to you?
I think when it comes down to music, I've always kind of viewed music as the closest thing to magic that there is. Like when you can say words and put vibrations through the air, if you really think about it, you're putting vibrations through the air that are perceived and that make people feel something and changes the world around you. Kind of sounds a little cheesy, but it's the closest thing to magic I've ever seen. It can literally turn a room around, so we're just drawn to it. We just always have been.
And I think it's so much cooler too, like having the CCMAs in Calgary, just being surrounded by so many friends and people that we met over the years. It's been amazing. And
So your newest song, Wild Ones.
Yeah.
talk me through. Tell the listeners, what's this song about? Why does this speak to you? Because I had the pleasure to listen to it beforehand, and
Of course, yeah.
I've created a Spotify list. So anyone who's listening right now, go and check out all the Spotify list of only the artists that have come on the show today, unless there's random ones that show up. But the ones that have scheduled an interview, they're all on the Spotify list. Just check out Cross Border Interviews on Spotify. But Wild Ones, what's it all about?
It's about the kind of girl that you know you can't hold for long. You just like, but you can't help but try. And that can be vice versa, or you know.
Story imitating art? Life imitating art, I should say. I see a laugh, so I'm assuming somewhat.
Oh yeah, it's inspired a little bit. I think from
I
real
think
life,
everyone's
but,
chased a wild one, right? At one point.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's about chasing the girl. Are we did you play it yesterday here in Calgary? Because I tried to get to all the events yesterday, but I couldn't find the media accreditation pass, so I wasn't able to get to all the events. But
It's all good, yeah. I guess we didn't play it yesterday because we were just so focused on what we got coming out.
So what do you have coming up?
We got a single coming out mid-October.
Which is?
It's what's the single called?
Yeah.
Oh, we haven't announced that yet.
Well, can we announce it here on the show, or are we going to announce it later on?
We gotta announce that it's going to be a surprise.
Okay, so please stay tuned.
Yes.
I'm assuming they can check that out on your social media platforms
Yes.
as well. So where
Yeah.
can people follow you?
Yeah, so that's so at Fleischer Music on all socials. A little early.
So I'm assuming Facebook. I hate TikTok, but I have to say is probably on TikTok as well.
Yeah. You'll see a little bit on TikTok. Yeah. We're really focused on Instagram. That's where most of our fan base is. Facebook as well. But yeah, you can find us anywhere. And Spotify. Please do follow us on Spotify.
Yeah, anywhere you listen.
Because that way, when we drop the single, it's right there. You can listen to it.
And for anyone's listening, the links aren't in the show notes, but later on tomorrow morning, there will be a post on our website which will have all the social media followings for all the guests on the show today, including their Spotify page. I highly recommend to check it out because you have a new fan in Northeast Calgary. In Whitehorn, Calgary, you have a new fan. To my partner's chagrin, I have been playing your Wild Ones over and over again, and I can imagine they are probably yelling at you guys right now as they watch this saying, why did you create this song? Because I've only heard that for the last hour, 2 hours.
I sincerely apologize.
But boys, thank you so much for doing this. It's been an honor and a pleasure. And I know you guys have a few other interviews coming up, but thank you for sitting down with us today. It's great, and to be the first guest on the live show. So this is a new world we're getting into right now. So we'll see what happens. But boys, thank you so much for doing this. Thank you so much. Greatly appreciate it. Yes, thank you. So with that, just remind everyone, stay tuned. We'll be back after a brief commercial break. By commercial break, just a big graphic will appear on your screen, and then we'll be back with our next guest. So talk to you soon. See, I told you we'd be back very quick because, we have lots of guests coming on the show today and we have lots of interviews, so we wanted to make sure that we have them back to back to back so you don't tune out and you keep with us. Our next guest needs no introduction. Ty, thank you so much for doing this. It's an honor and a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me, man.
Especially this early.
I know, 6:30 in the morning, like, Jesus, they're trying to kill us here.
Oh, I know. Well, last time it was the CCMAs, it was like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, which was perfect, and then I started 6. I was like, 6 p.m. or a.m.?
I was hoping for 6 p.m., but we're up bright and early, and I got in last night at like 3:34 in the morning. So.
Oh, so you were getting in while I was getting up?
No.
Yesterday.
I got back to like where I was staying last night. I've been in town since early Sunday morning.
So how does it feel to be in Calgary performing at the CCMAs?
Oh man, I love it in Calgary. I got family out this way, and I'm usually out here a couple times a year. So it's in a way it's kind of like a homecoming for me, even though I'm originally from Ontario.
Where in Ontario?
Waterdown.
Oh, okay. Ontario, born and bred. So
whereabouts?
Newcastle, Ontario.
Oh, okay.
The sort of armpit of Oshawa, if you know where Oshawa.
That is a fantastic description. Jesus.
Oh, this is going to be a fun morning.
It's going to be one of those, eh?
So, CCMAs. Let's talk about music for a few seconds here.
Absolutely.
What does music mean to you?
Music for me, I think everybody has their outlet for things in life, whether it's, getting things off your chest or stress relief and stuff like that. And I grew up playing every sport imaginable. I still rodeo as often as I can. But for me, music and songwriting and playing is kind of my outlet, my stress relief. And I always joke that whether I was doing this or doing something else, I'd still be writing and playing just because I love to do it. It's
where does that love come from?
I know my grandfather on my dad's side played. It's actually his guitar that I play. He bought it brand new in like 1940 or 42. But he passed away in 73, so I never got a chance to meet him. But from what I've been told, that kind of skipped a generation, and I got it. I've kind of always been drawn towards that growing up, but there's no one else in my immediate family who sings or plays or anything. So I kind of just, I'm the odd one out in my family in that regard.
Country music has a range of emotions that it's connected to it and a range of listeners, and they can connect with country music in different ways or different aspects. For you, while it was the family connection of your grandfather,
Yep.
when you play, what are you trying to emote when you're performing for your audiences? Is there a connection that you want them to achieve, or is it just something that you hope that no matter how they feel at the end of the day, when they leave that audience and they leave that show, they go, okay, I love his music now?
I think for me, I look at it if I'm up there and I'm having a lot of fun, it makes it a lot easier for the people in the crowd to have fun.
Yeah.
So my band and I just go out every night and want to put on a good show and have fun. And we're usually laughing and carrying around on stage. I always joke that most of the pictures you'll see of me, if I'm on stage with my band and it looks like we're laughing or smiling or having a great time, it's normally because one of us played the wrong note and the rest of us are laughing at him. So we just go and have a good time, and hopefully the crowd does as well. But my show's usually a lot more high energy and upbeat and all of that stuff.
Now with the lockdowns, I shouldn't say lockdown, but with the global pandemic, let's put it
Yes.
that way, for the last 2 years, it must have been harder for you to get out there and perform. And I've talked to many artists over the last 2 years, and they say it's different, because I know some people have done the Zoom shows and the Facebook Live shows, but there's something about the audience at the end of the day that's really a connection. For you, how was the last 2 years?
It was weird. I wouldn't say it was necessarily terrible. It was, I'm used to doing 150 to 200 shows a year. I'm on the road 8 to 10 months. And you kind of get used to that go all the time, that when we finally got the break, and it took about 3-4 months into the pandemic before I finally was like, okay, I guess we're not hitting the road this summer.
Yeah.
To relax, but I got to spend more time with my family, and unfortunately over the course of the pandemic, not from COVID or anything, but an uncle of mine out here passed away, an uncle back home passed away, and I lost my grandmother. And over those 2 years, I got to spend a lot more time with those people than I would have had it been the other way around. So for me, I kind of counted that as a blessing. But from a show side, like, I might have had a handful of acoustic things that we did in person over the pandemic. And like you said, it's one thing to play on Zoom or Facebook Live or something. but you're playing to a computer screen or a camera. You don't have that one-on-one interaction. And when you're in a room with a whole bunch of people, there's that energy that's in the room. And as a performer, we feed off of that. And I think that and being up on stage and playing with my band is what I miss the most. So when things kind of finally opened up and we were able to get back to that, it was like you could breathe again.
Now you're performing here at the CCMAs. You're doing some of the shows that are throughout the weekend and week. It must be nice. It must be nice being here in Calgary, sort of the quote-unquote country music capital of Canada. You have a new album, Old Habits Die Hard.
It's coming out shortly.
Yes. Let's talk about it here for a second. So is this a album that sort of the phoenix out of the ashes of the COVID-19 pandemic, where you were able to sit down and write this album, or where did this album come from?
A few of the songs came through the pandemic, yeah, but a few of them were ones that we just didn't quite have the room for on the last record. And when you're putting an album together, you're looking at, okay, these ones are going to go to radio, these ones probably won't make it to radio, but we want these for our live show and all that. But you have a finite amount of space on a project when you go to release it, and there's some songs that it's like, well, this is amazing, but we already have X, Y, and Z on our current ones. So some of them were written through the pandemic, but I don't really know how to write from anywhere other than personal experiences.
What is your writing style? Is it lyrics first, then tune, or is it tune?
All over the map, buddy.
Really?
Normally for me, I'll start with a hook or a title or a line, and for the title track of this record, that line was Old Habits Die Hard. A buddy of mine who's actually from just outside of Regina, Saskatchewan, Chris Henderson, was visiting.
Okay.
And Chris threw the line out, and we played around with it and got a little bit, and then sat down with some other buddies and wrote the rest of it. But it started with that line, Old Habits Die Hard. And I went, man, that's really cool. We got to write something about that. But of course, at the time, couldn't think of anything. And you kind of put it on the back burner, and it eventually comes back to the forefront. You play around with it. But normally I'll have a line like that and then pick up the guitar and start playing around. But I mean, sometimes I'll write all of the lyrics, and then I'll pick up the guitar and figure out what the hell the chords are. And with this song, we wrote the chorus back in February of last year, I guess.
Oh, wow. Okay.
We were going into the studio to record this record mid-November. And I knew the melody for the verses, but I didn't know the words. And I'm in the studio ahead of time. We were doing the scratch tracks to get ready to go in, and I knew I wanted this song on the record. So I recorded it with me just humming the melody. 2 days before we went in to cut that track, I wrote both verses at 2 a.m, sitting at the kitchen counter.
Wow. Where does it come from? Because is it there's a moment that you just go, done? Or is it, okay, like you said, you're going into the studio in February, or you're thinking February, and then it doesn't come till November, but there must be that spark, right? There must be that spark. And I've heard musicians talk about how their writing style encompasses their life, whether it be something that's gone on in their life. For you, and I've listened to your music, and for anyone who's listening and watching, the links will be in the show notes for tomorrow. They will be out there, so all of Ty's information will be there, so highly recommend you go follow it and listen to his music. Also, as I said in the last interview, the Spotify list is up, crossborderinterviews.ca, and click on the Spotify link, and then you'll find the whole Spotify list with Ty's music on there as well. But you seem to have a cross-section of your writing, whether it be from a personal story to, I'm assuming it could be personal, but it doesn't seem personal. Is it anything that comes to your mind?
Yeah, like a lot of it is either something that's happened to me personally or something that I've kind of witnessed myself or seen. And whenever you're trying to tell a story, sometimes it makes sense to tell it from your perspective, and sometimes it makes sense to tell it from a third-party perspective. But as far as that spark of creativity, I find with a lot of songs, sometimes your inspiration will be the verses and not the chorus at the time.
Yeah.
Or the other way around. And when I was younger and I was starting writing, you almost feel obligated to finish the song immediately when you start it.
Yep.
But of course, you have that spark of creativity and inspiration for that one specific thing. And I've just learned over the years that I'll write until nothing's coming to me anymore, and then I'll walk away from it. And I'm okay with that until the inspiration comes for the other part. And that's what happened with Old Habits Die Hard.
There is an interview that, and I've always loved this quote from an artist down the States, Toby Keith. And he said, every album I write I put in an album, and I consider all those songs number ones. I don't consider them, whether it be, and you said this a little bit beforehand, that this could play for radio or this couldn't. When I listen to your music, I could listen to those songs all on the radio. And it's something that I find very few artists can do, but most of your music can speak to me, right? And I could see myself driving down the QE2 or Highway 1 to Ontario, listening to your music, and not just one or two songs, the whole album of number ones, but only a few get chosen. When you put an album together, like Old Habits Die Hard, you talked about the radio versus playing them live. They must all mean something to you to put
absolutely.
them on the show, on the album, right?
Absolutely, and I appreciate that comment. That means the world to me, because I kind of do the same thing when I go in. I go in recording all of them, being like, I am comfortable if every single one of these went to radio. I believe in that. But when you're looking to do stuff for radio, we put one song out late in the year because it was getting close to the time that the NFR was going to happen in Vegas. So we kind of paired stuff with that. Like, a lot of it comes down to the marketing side of things and what makes the most sense. But I definitely agree with Toby in that. And I actually got to play Boots and Hearts with Toby a number of years ago. He's phenomenal.
I was at that Boots and Hearts.
I was there.
I'm 90% sure I have a photo of you somewhere kicking around in my old photo lab.
I ended up opening up for Blake Shelton that year.
I have photos.
Not a whole lot of guys I run into that, I feel like I'm a smaller guy around, and Toby's a big dude.
Oh, yeah.
Toby's a big dude.
Yeah. Ty, I want to thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate you coming on the show, waking up this early to do this, and being part of this. And I look forward to the new album when it drops. I know it comes out in October, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So with that, thank you, Ty. And we'll be back in about 5 minutes with our next interview. So stay tuned, everyone. And welcome back to the Cross-Border Interviews live. We are sitting down with Megan Page now. Megan Page. Sorry, I was Megan Page. Megan, thank you so much for doing this. Welcome to Calgary.
Thank you.
Welcome to the CCMAs.
Yes, first year. I'm really excited.
Is it your first year?
It's my first year.
How does it feel?
It's a little nerve-wracking. I'm not going to lie.
Really?
Really. But it's going good so far.
Okay, so what does going good mean in the albums of Megan Page?
Going good means I'm meeting a lot of people who are really nice, and I'm enjoying a lot of amazing music. I went to the Songwriter rounds yesterday. It was insane.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you learning something while you're here as well?
I learn too much while I'm here, yes.
Really?
I learn lots.
What are you learning?
Just, especially at the Songwriter rounds, it's just nice to know what goes into the process, so then it helps me, I guess. In the end, it helps me write my songs.
And now you've released your third single here,
Yeah.
so let's talk about your music here for a second. Before we get into the singles, let's talk about music in general. Where does music come from for you?
My dad and my grandpa always grew up. So my dad, obviously, walking around the house always with a guitar in hand, just playing away and singing. So from that, nobody really wanted to go further with it, but I always kind of knew that I wanted to do more with it. Like, that was just what I was meant to do, was just music. So here I am.
So when you were sitting down writing, because was your father into country music? Was that the influence that you had, or was it just music in general?
I had more of a rock influence, actually.
Okay, this is the third interview I've done now, and the third person who said rock was the influence that led to country. What is with you country music stars and rock?
I mean, it does something to you. I don't know.
So when you decided, and I shouldn't say decided, but when you were growing up, you made an effort to perform and to sing, to write music. How was that? Was there a fostering relationship with your family to say, yes, you can do it, let's go for it? Or was it, okay, do it, but make sure you have a backup as well?
My mom is over there. She's helping me out today.
Uh-oh, mom's getting thrown under the bus
Mom's
here.
getting thrown under the bus right now. So my dad was always like, do this. You have to do this. Like, you have something there. You need to pursue this. My mom always, obviously, was very supportive, and she said, you are very talented, but...
But. There's always a but.
We need a backup plan. And I'm like, Mom, I don't want a backup plan. There's nothing else that I can do. I've looked into so many things. There's nothing else that interests me. This is, like I said, I always knew this is what I was meant to do. But she was very stubborn for a while. I think I might have finally convinced her, though.
Well, you're here at the CCMA, so you must have convinced her by now.
I might have convinced her.
Let's talk about the newest single. Sorry, I just want to make sure, No Coming Back from You.
Yeah.
Where does this song come from? Because for anyone who's listening, Megan's music is on the Spotify list as well, so go check it out, Cross-Border Interviews CCMAs, where you'll be able to find all the great music that these great artists that are coming on the show today are. But your newest single, where's this story come from for you?
So basically, the new single is kind of like your basic love song. I personally don't have great luck with love, but we don't talk about that part. So yeah, this was kind of my producer, Travis Switzer. He showed me this song, and we both fell in love with this song, and we just knew we could make something really special out of it. So
what spoke about it to you? Because you talk about the not good in the love department,
right.
but at the end of the day, there must have been something else that spoke to you. Because as an artist, and I've had different artists on the show, and you'll probably disagree with me on this statement, but music has to speak to you, and particularly a song. So this song, while it spoke to you on the love side, it must also spoke to you musically as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually, when I listen to the songs, I listen mostly to the lyrics.
Really?
I'm more of a lyrics person.
Okay.
I really love, I don't know how to explain it, but really good lyrics can just hit so good. You know what I mean? So yeah, this song, I think, really drew to me because I fall in love really easily.
Okay.
And hard. And it's a whole disaster. So obviously No Coming Back is kind of the punchline, and it's just about falling in love like really hard and just no coming back from it.
So while the third single's out, what's next? Because we always look to the future, right? It's always great that you're putting out the song now, but you're always looking to what's next. So what's
Yeah.
in store for Megan in the next year, 2 years, 3 years?
Yeah, so I have actually 2 more songs that I really want to get into the studio to record.
Okay.
I'm really proud of these next 2. My favorite one, it's called Yesterday's Rain. I'm so excited to release this song.
Okay.
I
When
just-
can we expect Yesterday's Rain to
We're
come
going
out?
into the studio really soon. We were actually supposed to go, but then everybody kind of got sick, so we couldn't go into the studio, unfortunately.
Pandemic.
We had it booked and everything. I was so upset. So after CCMAs is when we're going in.
Oh, wow.
So
So
pretty
it
soon
could be
here.
end of 2022, beginning of
Yeah.
2023?
Yeah.
It must be. Is it weird to release music? Because for me, like when I release my shows, it's nerve wracking. Will people listen? Won't people listen? So
Yeah.
for you, you're doing it on a national stage. I'm doing it like on a local, like Alberta stage. You're doing it on a national stage. So when you release a song, are you nerved? Or is there nerves?
It's very nerve wracking, especially because it's weird being young, I feel like. Because the first time I released my first song, I was in high school. So obviously it was the high
Way
school
to make
kid.
me feel old.
So it was kind of like the high school kids, and I was kind of worried about what they would think as well, what my school would think. But they were really supportive of it, thankfully.
Okay.
So yeah, it's weird being so young too. I feel like everybody's very surprised when I tell them that I've released music.
So where can people follow you? Where can people find you? Because I've listened to your music, and I can tell you have a fan in Northeast Calgary right now, and it's one of these songs that I can listen to over and over again. But where can people find you? Yes, Spotify on the list, but where else?
I'm on any platform.
If you
Instagram.
say TikTok, I'm done with this interview because I refuse to do TikTok.
Okay, actually, I'm kind of the same way. So
God.
my mom is actually the one who's like, you need to start posting on TikTok, Megan. This is a necessity. And I'm like, you know what? I'll do it for you, Mom.
Mom, you're amazing.
Mom, you're amazing. So I actually have 2 videos on TikTok.
Okay, just 2. That's
Just
good.
2. Just 2 videos.
But they can find you on all social media
Yeah,
platforms.
just under Megan Page Music. You'll find me there.
Awesome. Reminder that tomorrow when we release the full lineup, Megan's information, her social media platforms, and her website, and the link to her Spotify music will be there. So check it out. Highly recommend you do it. Megan, thank you so much for sitting down and chatting today.
Thank you so much for having me. It was really fun.
It is, and we're just having a formal conversation. We'll be
Yeah.
right back in about 2 seconds. Okay, everyone? Talk to you soon. Welcome back, guys. We are sitting down with Breton Rose now. And Breton, thank you so much for doing this. It's an honor and a pleasure.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
I'm going to get you to move in if you get closer to that mic. As they always say, make love to the microphone.
All right, sounds like a
Breton,
plan.
let's start talking about music.
Yeah.
Where does music come from for you?
Music's always been a big part of my life.
Really?
I listened to Sheryl Crow growing up. I had like the whole album memorized, like Soak Up the Sun and all that. And my parents put me in a Music for Young Children's program when I was about 5, or no, younger even, like 2 or 3.
Oh wow!
And then I tried a bunch of different things. Like I tried sports and dance and did all that stuff. And I always just gravitated towards music and stuck with that. And here we are.
Here we are. It is CCMA. How does it feel to be here at the CCMAs?
It feels so good.
Does it?
Yeah.
Because you're a local girl. It
Yes.
must be weird to be part of this great show and being a local person and seeing some of the people you probably grew up with.
Yeah, it's amazing to be here and just see everyone come together to celebrate country music and what we all do and love. And it's really cool to meet everyone. We always get to see on Zoom or on Instagram. We're always like, oh, I know everything you're up to, but it's nice to meet you in person. You know,
We don't need to
it's weird.
connect.
We've all stalked each other,
Exactly.
but we keep up. We're like, oh, I've seen you on Instagram, but nice to meet you in person. So it's just really cool, and especially to have it here in Calgary is really special to be like a local artist, and it's really really cool to be here. And I'm really honored to be a part of this.
As a relatively newer artist, how does it feel to be seeing some of these people and considering them your peers now?
Yeah, it feels really cool. It's super, super cool to just be here and be immersed in with all the other artists and just meet artists and make friends and like just talk about our experiences, because we're all experiencing the same things this week. We're all been talking about how we're already tired and it's so early to be here, and it's really cool to just make friends and meet everybody and be surrounded in the environment of it.
So one of your newest songs, Almost Love, came out earlier this year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Let's talk about it here for a
Okay.
second. So what does Almost Love mean to you?
Yeah, so Almost Love, it's kind of just about all those like warm fuzzy feelings you get when you meet someone new, those warm fuzzy I'm walking on cloud 9 type things. And it's kind of the magic in it is like the unknown. If you don't know where it's going to go, you don't know, it might go bad, it might go good, you could write a song about it if you want to. That's what I did. And it's just kind of about the magic of the unknown is what makes those like butterfly feelings sometimes. It's just that in itself. So yeah, that's what it's about.
Life imitating art a little bit there. Did you when you heard the song, when you connected with the song, was it a little bit of a story to you?
Yeah, I think I've always kind of put a piece of personal experience or personal relatability into every one of my songs. So sometimes it's definitely dramatized or exaggerated for the purpose of the song, but there's definitely a little bit of a truth to every one of my songs, to my own life. Yeah. So
how does that work? Because it must be emotional to put yourself out there like that, right? When you have a little bit of yourself on these great songs, it must be a little nerve-wracking when you release them, because you're hoping your fan base will connect with them, and it seems like your fans have connected with them. So what does it mean to you when you put it out there and you're like, okay, will people like it? Won't people like it? Is there any nerves when you're actually releasing a song like Almost Love?
Definitely
Okay.
some nerves. There's some nerves like all the time when we're releasing music. It's so it's like a piece of my heart. It's a piece of me. The like songs are like little song babies. So like to put them out in the world, you're always nervous. Like, will people like it? Will they hate it? Will they connect with it? And my biggest hope is always that they'll just connect with it or can relate to it in any way, to their own life or their own experiences or anything going on. And then that's like the magic that I love, is like connecting through experiences through music, and I love that so much. So definitely nerve-wracking, even playing songs live for the first time is always nerve-wracking, but yeah, so I definitely always get nervous to release a song, no matter like what song it is.
As a relatively as a new artist who has come out with a new song here, Almost Love, the last 2 years have been hard for any musician. Talk me through how it was for yourself, because it must have been challenging, because you're trying to break into the scene, you're trying to get people, like you said, people are following, people are enjoying your music, but the last 2 years with the global pandemic, it must have been a little bit challenging for yourself.
Yeah, it definitely was an experience, and with live shows being taken away, I think myself and a lot of other artists included, we took the time to really work on skills and our craft that we normally push to the side. We're in the hustle and bustle of award shows or shows and live shows and stuff, so I really just took the time to practice working on my songwriting. I co-wrote with a lot of different artists from across Canada. That's what I always think of as my silver lining, is I got to connect with so many artists from across Canada, and now meeting them for the first time here at CCMAs, that we wrote
wrote a lot of songs with over Zoom, and I think I wrote some of my most songs I'm most proud of over the pandemic. So that was my silver lining. I really just buckled down and worked behind the scenes, and now kind of get to show the world, now that that's over, what I've been up to.
Before we wrap up, I want to ask this question because you mentioned something that I always find it fascinating how people write. What is your writing style when it comes to music? Because is it music first then tune? Is it tune first then lyrics? What's your process, and how do you is it just moment click and write down, or what happens?
Yeah, so majority of the time I usually get an idea or like one line in my head. I'm a big first verse. I love opening lines.
Okay.
I always sometimes think of opening lines first and kind of build the song from there. And I usually then sit at my piano. I normally write it on a keyboard or piano primarily. And so I kind of just hop on then, do a little voice memo. I also love melodies. I love coming up with melodies. So I usually do that first. I usually write like a little melody just going like la 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 or na 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 or whatever with no words on the piano, and then write lyrics after. So, but then sometimes in the melodies will obviously change based on the lyrics, but I kind of just get the initial idea, get it out on a little voice memo, and build it from there.
So where can people follow you? Where can people find you on social media? Because you want to grow your base. I know that, and I want my listeners and my viewers to learn your music. So how can people follow you?
Yeah, so all my social media handles, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, all that good stuff. Everything, all of those platforms are all just at Breton Rose.
Breton, thank you so much. For my listeners, Breton's information, the links to her website, her music, and also her social medias will be on Saturday's page on the website. Check it out. Highly recommend it. Breton, thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you so much for having me.
Honor and a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So with that, we'll be back in about 2 seconds with our next guest. Chat to you soon, guys. Welcome back. We are sitting down with Aaron Pollock now. Aaron, thank you so much for being here. Glad to have you on the show
Thanks for having me. I'm really stoked to be here.
at 7 o'clock in the morning.
I know, I've never done Media Row before, so it was a bit of a stressful getting here today.
So is this, while it's your first Media Row, is this your first CCMAs?
No, I've been coming since 2016. I've just never done this part of it before.
Because you are nominated for Songwriter of the Year
Yes.
with the Prairie States. How does it feel to be a nominee for the CCMAs?
Oh my god, it's pretty surreal. I never thought that would, I did not expect it at all. So like, as a songwriter, you know, kind of, you write a lot of songs that no one hears, and you have to just grind it out, you know, virtually in the dark for a long time. And you know, when you write a song, you never know what's going to happen with it, right? So just to be recognized for songwriting, like songwriting is my favorite part of music, so that's really a dream come true. That's, you know, my favorite award, and there's just so many amazing people nominated for it too. So I'm really, really grateful to be.
So let's talk about songwriting here for a second. How does songwriting fit into your life? Where does it come from?
I always just kind of gravitated towards it. Like, I started writing poetry at a young age, and, you know, just wanted to get my feelings out. I've always loved writing, and I always loved music too. And I never really knew what I wanted to do when I was growing up. Like, I went to university, I got a degree in political science, I worked in the Alberta legislature for a while. And so I always really loved writing, and I loved playing guitar and singing. So like, eventually, you know, I just realized like I could merge the two, and like there's being a songwriter as a career. And like,
How does a guy who works at the Alberta legislature become a nominated songwriter at the CCMAs? It seems like a very hard job.
yeah, it was a long road. I just, you know, I worked in, I got a job in politics while I was working. It's early.
It really is early, guys.
Well, I was in school for political science, and there was just a job opportunity in the legislature, and you know, some people had told me like, oh, music's never going to happen for you. You should get a real job. So I did, because I thought they were right, and then I realized, like, you know what? Even if you're not good, you should just try anyways, because you're going to be miserable if you don't. So I realized I had no choice but to give music a go. And then when I gave music a go, someone was like, you know, your songs aren't very good. Like, you need to work on your songwriting. So I was like, oh my God, like, it's not what I wanted to hear. So
because you always take the harshest criticism the worst, right? It's
Yeah.
not the good criticism, like, oh, you're a great person. You're like, okay, thanks.
Yeah.
It's the, oh, you're not a good songwriter. Oh, crap.
That's what sticks with you.
Yeah.
That was the best, you know, the best criticism I ever got, because they really made me focus on songwriting and learn about how to become a songwriter. And I grew up in Calgary, obviously, so surrounded by country music, but I grew up more listening to rock and roll. So I really started to get familiar with country when I heard that, because that's the genre where it's all about songwriting. So, you know, I grew up around country and almost like took it for granted a little bit, because, you know, it was all around me, and I never realized how amazing the songwriting aspect of it was, and how much of an art form there is to it.
So what comes first for you as a songwriter? Is it lyrics then tune, or is it tune then lyrics, or is it vice versa? What's the process for yourself?
It really depends who I'm writing with. Like,
So with this song, the one that you wrote with Prairie States, how did that come about?
that one, the idea was actually brought in by Chris Yurchuk, one of the other writers on the song, and he is an absolute genius. I'm convinced he's going to be writing number ones, like, pretty soon. He's one of the smartest people I've ever met. Totally genius guy. So sometimes you start with like a title. A lot of people in country like to start with the title of the song, because writing a song in country is like writing an essay, I find. Like, you know, you have your central theme of the song, and like all the verses got to support where the chorus is going and that kind of thing. So a lot of people like to start with that main idea. But Rebel Phase started with like a few lines from the chorus that Chris brought in, and then we just wrote the rest of the song together around that theme, because we all kind of felt like we were still in our Rebel Phase. I've been in one for like 20 years now.
Does the song have to speak to you emotionally or spiritually? Because when you're writing, when I've written things, and yet again, they're not songs, they're stories for the website or something like that, they speak to me, right?
Lean into like, what does an artist most have to say? A good quote I heard was like, what's the truest thing that you know at the time, and then you should write that. So if I'm writing with an artist, whatever they're sort of feeling the most, you sort of have to look at that story and look at the most emotional, you know, vulnerable way you can tell that story. There's so many ways to do it, but in my opinion, like, just being the most vulnerable you possibly can with whatever angle you're taking is the best way to do it.
Is it hard to be vulnerable?
Oh yeah, totally.
Really?
Oh yeah.
But and I mean that with all sincerity, because for someone, and I've listened to some of your music and some of the songs you've written, and I go,
you.
seem like it seems to just flow out of you, your emotions, and
Thank you.
for an artist, it's hard to convey that. And I've listened to many artists in my time, and sometimes I'm like, okay, why did you release a song? But you listen to you, and you go, okay, you can tell this guy actually put his heart and soul into these songs.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's very hard, like still, and I had to write a lot of songs to get to the point where I was able to be vulnerable and able to put those feelings down on paper and communicate them in a way that was cathartic, I guess. And when I write for other artists, like I don't really feel nervous because I'm not the one singing the song. But when I'm the one singing the song, I always get that little voice of self-doubt in my head, like, oh, who's going to want to hear about my emotions and what I have to say, like. And ultimately, you just got to have to remember that, why we all got into music is we heard music that made us feel something, right? And I feel like the more you feel something, the stronger those emotions are in you, and the better you're able to create a conduit to that, the stronger the emotions that you'll be able to elicit in the person listening to the song. So being the most vulnerable and honest with what you're feeling at the time is the best way to do that, I think.
Wow. You're very, wow. I wasn't expecting a deep conversation today, but there we are.
Thank you.
Where can people find you? Because you have other interviews that you have to do throughout the day, and I don't want to take much of your time, but where can people find you? How can they reach out, follow your music?
AaronPollockOfficial.com is my website. You can just find me on social media. It's all under Aaron Pollock Music.
For those who are watching and listening to this, reminder that tomorrow, Saturday, September 10th, we will have a list of all the guests that we've had on and their social media platforms, so check them out. Highly recommend. Aaron, thank you so much for doing this. It's an honor and a pleasure.
Thank you. This is such a fantastic interview. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with me.
Oh, no worries. Thank you. We'll be right back in a few seconds with another great guest. Be right back, everyone. Welcome back. We are with Annika now. Annika, thank you so much for doing this. This is an honor and a pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
I am excited for you to be here as well. Welcome to the CCMAs. How does it feel to be here?
Thank you. You know what? I'm a born and raised Calgarian, so I feel like the CCMAs have come to me this year, which is so nice. I get to sleep in my own bed and still be part of the action, which is really fun. But I'm so happy to be here again. It's like a reunion each time. So getting to see so many different people each year, and the energy of the city changes. So I'm excited.
Last 2 years have been a little bit rough for artists like yourself and artists from across the spectrum. What about you? How was it for you?
You know, I had a lot going on in my personal life during COVID in terms of I had a baby in 2021. Thank you. Now I'm 5 months along with my next one. So I've been pretty busy.
Really? Congratulations. Yes. How are you up at 5 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning?
Well, I joke with people. They said, oh, that's really early. I said, well, I have a 13-month at home, so 13-month-old at home, so I'm used to that. It's the late shows that are I'm not used to that yet.
So a late show to you right now is like 4 o'clock in the
I do have one at 11:50 p.m. tonight, which is pretty late.
Please tell me you're sleeping during...
I was going to say, I'm going to probably show up at 11 p.m. and sleep from like 5 p.m. to 11. But my schedule is a bit different now than it was before. But certainly, despite all the things that were happening in my personal life, I miss performing so much. I was very grateful for Zoom and the ability to co-write, and I made my album during that time, which was great, that studios were still open and musicians were still willing to come in and work. And so I was able to be productive, but I will say we have certainly missed this, getting to see people share music, because at the end of the day, that's why I do it usually, is to be able to entertain and perform. So it's very nice to be back in the saddle in that regard.
So let's talk about music for a few seconds here. And I always ask this question to anyone who comes on my show, and you're no exception when it comes to artists. What does music mean to you, though?
So music to me has always been sort of a personal release in some way. A creative outlet is how it started, and then the career kind of just followed. So I started writing when I was in 8th grade, writing about my crushes and things that I couldn't necessarily speak about otherwise. And so it's always been a very personal thing for me, and I've tried to continue with that throughout my album cycle, so that it's always something that's me telling my story in that moment in time. I think music is like a time capsule, and I'm so excited that the albums I release, I can look back on in 40, 50 years and have a very visceral sense of what my life was at that moment. So I try to music to me is it's a very self-centered thing. It's always about me. That's
as an artist. How dare you say that?
Exactly. I know. And I can, people can say they want to. Some people love to create it for other people. Some people love to send a certain message. For me, it's all about what I'm going through, and it's just a creative outlet for me. And if it resonates with people, it's like the cherry on top.
Is it hard to release because you've released numerous albums in your time, is it still hard to release an album like the one that you've just released and say, okay, I'm going to put this out, I really hope people like it as much as they did the last one?
That has gotten a lot easier.
Oh,
I care
really?
so much less about that now, because, honestly, you realize not everybody's going to like it. And what's crazy is that some people love certain songs I love every song that goes on there, because you've taken it from 50 songs you've written down to your top 5. So obviously each one is special, but people get such different things out of it that it's so impossible to predict how someone is going to react to it, that instead I just think, well, let's make something that I'm pleased with, something that I want to look back on and feel was authentic to me, and then we see how it goes. I remember I found out, it was the day I was giving birth that I found out that my song went top 40, and it was my first independent release as solo artist, which completely I was not expecting in any sense at all. So those things happen when you don't, it's like whenever you stop really focusing on that, amazing things happen. So that's why I'm here today, so I'm just going to keep doing it.
Do you get joy, though?
Yes.
Because it seems like you're a very happy-go-lucky person, even though like the last 2 years have been crappy, but in some sense they've been great for you because you have a new child, a new one on the way.
What's funny is about me as an artist, I'm very joyful in real life. It's just a lot harder to write about joyful things than sad things. Like, I will probably be writing breakup songs when I'm in my 50s, and my husband will be like, are we not over this phase yet?
Are we okay?
There's only so many love songs you can write. But that's why I love co-writing, because I'm often kind of inserting myself as someone else's story and helping them write something that oftentimes I end up taking from my own album. So for sure, the joy for me comes out of the entertaining, the performing for people. That is something that I can't help but someone told me yesterday at a show, it's like the music just falls out of me. And that was, I thought, oh, what a great expression, because that is how I feel, truly. It's like, it's part of me, and then you get to share it with people, which brings me a lot of joy.
Last question before we start our wrap up here is, you talk about writing music. For you, where does that come from? Because you talk about you're a joyful person, but you write the breakup songs, right?
Yes.
So for you, is it hard to tamper down your personality when you're writing songs and say, okay, instead of being the joyful album, it's going to be the quote-unquote traditional breakup country song?
Right. I wish that I actually was just better at writing the happy songs. I think we need more happy songs in this world. We do. And I will say, when I'm at a show and I do the upbeat songs, to see the crowd clap along, I'm thinking, why don't I write more of these songs, because they're so much fun to sing. I truly just write in the room what is present at that time, and oftentimes it's an energy that someone else brings in that I latch on to, or I've been inspired by movies, books, like sometimes characters in books. I'll think, oh, I got to write a song about them. So it's this weird thing where I'm not always writing about myself literally, but I can usually always relate in some ways. So I think if I try to tamper down my personality in any sense, in any situation, my husband can attest to this, it just doesn't work. Like, it comes out anyway. So you can see my hand movements at 7 a.m. I'm already like going hard. There's a reason they call me the Energizer Bunny. I'm usually always on, but then that's why it's kind of this nice release to let some of the other emotions come out that aren't maybe at the forefront all the time.
Well, I could probably sit and chat with you about joy and happiness for the next hour and a half. We have another guest coming on here soon.
Amazing.
But where can people find you? Where can people follow you?
Best place is Instagram. It's
thank
Annika.
God. If you said TikTok, I would have been done with you right now.
No, I got off the TikTok after about two weeks during COVID. I got on TikTok and thought, I got to get off of this now. My handle is Annika, Annika, and then Liv, Annika Leave Music.
For those who are listening and watching, the links to Annika's information will be out on social media tomorrow and on the website. So check it out. Highly recommend it. Go check out her music. It's great. Sad breakup songs. There are some joyful ones as well, but we all love the sad breakup.
Something for everyone.
Exactly. Annika, thank you so much for doing it.
Thank you.
Much appreciated. We'll be right back with another great guest in about 2 seconds, everyone. Talk to you soon. Welcome back with Jelly.
I almost said that it was, I was going to be my stage name. I was like, Mom, do I go out with Jelly Appleman?
Well,
I was like, I don't know. It's like jelly apples. Like, who's going to take you seriously with that?
best way to start an interview I've ever had right here. Angelica Appleman, thank you so much for being on the show. I'm
Thank
so
you.
happy to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me, Chris.
Angelica Jelly, I'm going to call you Jelly
Yeah,
first.
let's go.
Jelly, where does music come from for you?
Ooh, I love that question.
You're welcome.
Yes.
7 o'clock in the morning brain.
I love that. Have you had your coffee?
Yes.
Yes, it's there.
Not sponsored by Tim Hortons.
If only. I would say music comes from my soul.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I was born with the music in me. Because ever since I was little, I would say my mom said before I could talk, I was singing. I would sing myself to sleep. I was, yeah.
Okay.
I would go, like stuff like that. I would say that I just like, even when I'm like songwriting, the melodies come to my head and like, I'm like always tapping my leg and stuff like that. Like if you ask my mom when I was a kid, I was always just like, and like I had no freaking rhythm, but I would definitely say I was just born with it, and I had a family that was very musical as well. So,
was country always the music that of choice in the household, or like every other guest that's been on the show today so far has said rock was the music of choice, and they
interesting.
went to country?
Oh, no, country was definitely in my household. I grew up listening to all of the like 90s babes and everything like that. Me and my sisters, we would like dance around to Shania, sing some Martina McBride. Do you remember those like karaoke things? It's like the best hits country. So there's like the same like 8 songs. We would just sing the same 8 songs every weekend. Yes. On those like There You'll Be, and like I'm like 9 years old singing like There You'll Be. Yeah, I grew up on Garth Brooks, like all of the great
Country music has been like instilled upon you and from day
Oh yeah,
one.
the chicks. Like I definitely give the credit to my sister Andrea. She found it first and introduced me to Shania. First song she introduced me to was "Whose Bed Have Your Boots Been Under?" at about 8 years old. But honestly, like it's still my favorite song to play live, and I still want to know whose bed have your boots been under, you know?
Thank you, Shania. let's figure this out. Come on the show, figure it out right now.
Yeah, let's do a duet.
Exactly. Thank you. Get with Angelica or Jelly. You are at the CCMAs. This must be a massive shock to you right now, because you're with people you've looked up to. You are with other Canadian country music stars that are now your peers. What does it feel like to be here?
I am just so grateful. I have this thing called Thankful Thursdays, and I've spent so many years of my life, kind of in my 20s, where I had health struggles. And so I decided I was going to go 0 to 60. I was going to take this dream by the reins, and I just like to take in every single moment. So I do the Thankful Thursdays to kind of remember each moment and to be grateful for every single person I meet, every opportunity, every window that opens for me. And I'm surrounded by people that I have looked up to. I sing their songs in the car. I am a huge country music fan myself, and especially a Canadian country music fan. So I'm like fangirling here. It is. I just had a conversation with Brett Kissel, which was really, really cool.
Died a little inside, didn't you?
I
Like,
was,
it can only go up from here.
I actually got to interview him because one of my friends told me, hold the spot. And he was like, oh, are you the one interviewing? And I was like, yeah.
Sure,
why
totally,
not?
yeah.
And then we had like an impromptu interview.
So I heard this Jelly girl is really good. Have you done a duet with her? Well, would you want to?
Well, I gave him my card and everything, which was so awesome.
Yes. I want to talk about Happy Place, song that you
Yes.
released earlier this year, and then
Yeah.
we'll wrap up here. But where does Happy Place come from? What is your happy place?
Oh, goodness. So actually, what I've said from the get-go, my happy place is with my family, and surrounded especially by my littles. My nieces and my nephew are the inspiration behind that song. I took a picture with them and I captioned it "My Happy Place," and nothing has been more important than family for me right now. If we're talking like destination-wise, Nashville is my happy place. I went there in March of this year, and I was bit by the bug.
Were
I
ya?
like need to go back, and I was just soaking in all of the talent and all the inspiration and everything like that. But what's your happy place? I would love to
My
know.
happy place is here with you right now, Jelly.
Oh my goodness.
I know, but
What?
honest to God, my happy place is sitting down and talking to people.
Yes.
Like that is my happy place. My
Yeah.
happy place is when I heard the song, I was like, okay, everyone has that happy place. What is that moment, right? And
Exactly.
I was like, where is mine? And it's right here. It's right here, right now. It's not 10 years from now. It's not 2 months from now. It's not a week from now. It's right here, right now. And it's taken me a long time to figure that out. I'm not the guest, though. You are the guest, and I should
Yeah.
not be talking
No,
this much.
I love asking the interviewers the question too, because you guys probably don't get that many questions back.
I get lots
nice.
of questions
Oh,
via
good.
social media of, I hate you, you're a bad person.
Oh, stop.
Oh, social media, gotta love it. It's,
Yeah,
it's
true.
totally the truth of what's happening in this world.
Yeah.
But while I don't look to the future, you must always be looking to the future.
Of course, yeah.
What's next for Angelica?
Well, I have my current single U-Turn out right now, which is incredible, and it's
She gave me
gone-
a car, everyone.
I did. I made it myself too. Actually, with my mom's help. My mom's a great artist, so she did the U on there. But yeah, I have my current single U-Turn out right now, which talking about living in the present and, not thinking about the past and going ahead and thinking about hope in love and in new experiences and things. That's really what this song is for all my hopeless romantics out there. I've been using it as a catchphrase also, is like, if you ever get into that place where you're kind of like in a negative headspace or something like that, it's like, no, we're making a U-turn. So I really love that. And I've got my EP coming out, which I'm really excited about. It's called A Reason or a Season.
When are we expecting it to drop?
I think we're hoping for the beginning of November, just
Okay.
before Christmas, getting it in
So
there.
if it doesn't happen in November, message her, not me.
We're trying our best. I mean, I just have one more song that we got to get ready and mastered, and it should be good to go. But it's kind of just the different seasons of my life. There's songs about a breakup with a best friend, which I feel like a lot of people can relate to, because, people are in your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime, and that's sort of where that comes from and the inspiration behind that. And we're not always one thing. We're always changing, and it's kind of my songs are kind of like my heart and my soul, like unraveled to everybody on a silver platter. And you get to know a little bit about me and my journey and my journey to self-discovery with every song that you hear. So I'm really happy about it.
So my last question before we wrap up here is, where can people find you? Where can people listen to your music?
Ooh, anywhere that you listen to music, Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, Deezer, YouTube, all that fun stuff. And you can find me at Angelica Appleman on any social media platform.
Except TikTok, because we don't like TikTok on the show.
Okay, no TikTok.
Thank you.
But please spell it APPELMAN, because spelling matters.
Yeah, and reminder everyone, the links to Angelica's information will be up on the website tomorrow morning on the crossborderinterviews.ca. Check it out, and it will be linked to in the show notes tomorrow as well. So thank you so much, Angelica.
Thank
Greatly
you
appreciate
so much for having me. This is great.
it. It is. Thank you so much. We'll be back in about 2 seconds with another great interview. Talk to you soon, everyone. Welcome to the show, Madison. Much
Hi.
appreciated for being on the show. Welcome back, everyone. Madison Kozak here with her latest new single, What Does Sorry Mean? Madison, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. Good morning.
So, Madison, before we start, I have to ask the question that I've asked all artists. What does music mean to you?
Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness is right.
Music is connection to me. Music has always been a bridge of connecting with people. It started out when I was a kid. My dad would pull out the guitar in the kitchen and we would connect around the kitchen table. Now I basically just do that on a grander stage, whether it's, a CCMA Songwriters Unplugged series or the Grand Ole Opry. It's my favorite thing to just connect with people through music.
So it must have been hard for the last 2 years because you weren't able to connect with people as much as you can
Totally.
now. So for you as an artist, how challenging was it to be a musician but also connect with your listeners during a quote-unquote pandemic? And I say quote-unquote not as a it didn't happen. It did happen, but how hard was it?
It was definitely tricky. I think for me, I just tried to figure out how to best manage my time. I had spent most of 2019 on the road, touring in all over the US, UK, Europe. And then when the pandemic hit, I was like, actually, I haven't written a song in a minute. This is kind of built-in time for me to go back to the drawing board and figure out what it is I want to say next. So I wrote a lot over Zoom, and I had a song I put out in 2019 called Household, and so I ended up doing the household tour and performing songs in different rooms of the house. That was my way of getting creative during the pandemic. We're going on tour inside the house. So we had some fun with it, but mainly it was just being creative for me.
Your newest song?
Yes, What Does Sorry Mean?
Dropped today.
It did.
So what does sorry mean, and where did this song come from?
This was one of those songs I wrote over Zoom during the pandemic.
Okay. Getting that a lot today, actually. A lot of people writing music over Zoom. It must be hard to write over Zoom.
There were good and bad ones for sure. This one I knew 30 minutes in, I was like, oh shoot, we have something really cool here. And I wrote it with my pals Andy Skibb and Thomas Fincham. We were all within a mile of apart, in Nashville, but just, writing in my bedroom over Zoom. And at the time, there were actually some really big conversations going on in country music, in the media, and, some artists. There were some things going on where confrontation was being had in country music in 2021 that I had never seen before. And that's just what Andy, Thomas, and I were talking about in the room that day, and thinking about how words can come out thinking they're going to mean one thing, but then when there's no actions to back it up, how heartbreaking that can be to people on the other end of that conversation. And so these words fell out, and I remember turning it into my label at the time and got several text messages back to back being what is this song? And it ended up being pretty timely for where I was at.
I find that interesting that you said that, because in today's age, we're all on social media, right? Mm-hmm. And what our thoughts and our process that we put down on social media can be misconstrued from the other end.
Yep.
And then you might have to apologize. While anger can be confrontational in person, is there any connection to the social media words as well, or is it more just the one-on-one personal words that are said?
This song?
Yeah.
I mean, I've honestly a little bit of both.
Okay.
I think that those are my favorite songs, or when you can kind of apply it to yourself personally. It comes from a very personal place, but then it relates on a more universal level.
Okay. Madison, last question for you, because our next guest is here. Where can people find you? Where can people check out this new song?
All of the places, social media, Instagram, TikTok, Spotify, wherever you listen to music. Madison Kozak, Kozak.
For anyone listening and watching this, Madison's information will be out tomorrow on crossborderinterviews.ca. The links to her social media pages, the links to her Spotify account. So thank you so much for doing this, Madison. Greatly appreciate it.
Thank you.
Have yourself an excellent day. And remember, everyone, we'll be right back in about 2 seconds for another great interview. Talk to you soon. Welcome back. We are sitting down with Dustin Bird. Dustin, thank you so much for doing this. Greatly appreciate it.
Well, thank you. I didn't know. Where is the camera? Oh, it's right there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm just going to talk directly to it. Okay,
You can
great.
talk to me. You can talk to the camera.
No, I'm not going to look at you.
Okay, I won't look at you either. We'll just look at this the whole time.
I am.
So, Dustin, thank you so much for being here. CCMAs, how's it feel to be here in 2022 at the Calgary Country Music Awards?
Pretty awesome, man. I love Calgary.
Do you?
It's the most freaking scootable city with them scooters.
Yep.
You know? Like, there's a lot of cities that have scooters, but Calgary is by far the most scootable.
I've never heard that before, so I've never been on one, and I'm from Calgary, so I might have to try.
Man. Yeah, they're dangerous, though. They're dangerous.
I have had many musicians and artists on this show, and I've asked the same question to start off all interviews. You're no exception. What does music mean to you, Dustin?
It means, like, my whole world. You know, I'm kind of obsessed with it. Like, I write it, I produce it, I play it, I perform it, work with other artists. It is all encompassing, and it's a way for me to, like, express myself, but, like, also to connect with people. Like, this is how I connect with people, is through my music, for the most part. And so it's, like, I mean, everybody here at CCMAs, like, this has, like, become, like, this sort of family, right? Like, most of the friends that I have are in music, it's just like, it's my world. That's what it means to me. It's my whole world.
For the last 2 years, we haven't been able to connect in person as much as we want to.
Yeah.
As a musician, as a producer, as an artist, how hard was it for you to continue the passion of music while in a global pandemic?
It wasn't that difficult. If anything, like, it gave me just, like, a new perspective,
What was the perspective?
Well, like, when COVID happened, an artist that I work with, like, on the production side of things, Brian Harwood, him and I wrote a song called Together We're Strong. And that was, like, for Unison Benevolent Fund. Because we were like, because I think, like, 2 weeks had passed. It looked like this was going to last for a while. And even those, like, few weeks that it happened, like, it had quite the impact on the industry. And Unison Benevolent Fund had stepped up, and they were like, we're going to help you out. They also, not just financially, but with, like, mental health and stuff. So it wasn't long after COVID happened that we jumped into writing this song, getting these artists on board. From around Canada, I think we had, like, something like 17 artists. I buried myself in that project for, like, 2 or 3 months. And it took on a different life. As it progressed and took on all these different meanings, a lot of really significant things. But coming out of that, I realized I haven't played a show in months. I haven't, it's just like I've just had my head down and been working on this. But I've gotten to work with all these cool artists that I hadn't been able to work with before. So I was really lucky with that. It became like an opportunity, as opposed to, like, this limitation. And then on the writing side, because I wasn't out back and forth from, because prior to that, like, man, I was playing, like, clubs in Ontario, that sort of stuff. And it takes a lot of energy to do that. To go out on, like, a Tuesday night, get back at 4 a.m., and I'm up on Wednesday, I'm, like, kind of, dead. I don't really want to sing that much. And then, like, I'm going back out Thursday or Friday. So there was a lot of that, and when I had the space to just kind of reflect, be a little bit more introspective, then I wrote a song called Broken Lonely. And we put that out, I think, the beginning of 2021. But I wrote that in the summer of 2020, and it just kind of set me on this new path of, like, who I wanted to be as an artist, what I wanted to say, and how I wanted to say things. I wanted to say something fresh, something that hadn't been said before. I wanted to be direct and deliberate in the way that I said things lyrically. And then production-wise, it gave me a lot of time to sit there and play, and to mess around with sounds. I signed with Open Road in 2021, beginning of 2021. And the team has, like, liberated me to, like, just create, to be who I want to be as a producer, as a songwriter, to just make what I want to make, communicate things how I want to communicate them. And
is it hard to do that? Is it hard? Because when you try to do something different, it can be challenging sometimes because you have to think to yourself, will people like it? Will people gravitate towards it? Was that a concern to you? Because I've listened to your music and I can tell you, like, you have a fan in Northeast Calgary now. So for you, when you had that epiphany, right, you wanted to do something differently. Was there a little reservation, a little bit?
No, I don't think there was at all. Because prior to knowing that I had that kind of support from the label, right? And when I was just dropping songs, a song called Wake Up, another song called Love Problem, a song called Unscripted. All these songs I believed in. I thought they were cool. But honestly, a part of me was still looking at it from like a kind of a market perspective, because I was trying to like be at the center of that business, right? And that was where I was looking at. That's where I was worried about it. That's where I was like, well, I hope radio accepts this, and they didn't. And I was like, I hope that this gets picked up on playlists, and it didn't really. I mean, like there was some support, but it never resonated in the way that this new stuff is. But when I can just really be myself, that resonates. That connects with people. So I don't worry about it. I just make the stuff that I believe in because I know that it's going to find its people. I don't really care about like making music for the market, for like the sake of something being commercially viable or whatever. It's not satisfying for me. It's not fulfilling. It makes me anxious. And it's just kind of inauthentic. So I make stuff that I think is great, that I connect with. That when I'm working on it, if I can like take a step back and just let that song play and just be in it, it's like, okay, that's doing something. And that might not do something for radio. That might not do something, for certain playlists or whatever it is, but it's doing something for me, and I know if it is, then it's going to do something for somebody else somewhere. Right?
So your newest song, Hating on Love, let's talk about that for a few seconds if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Where does this song come from? Because it is something that I have listened to over and over again, and I can tell you my partner in my household hates me because I am one of those people that will listen to a song over and over again to understand where that connection's coming from. So for Hating on Love, where does it come from for you?
It came from an experience of trying to understand what this was like for people. Like hearing these different stories from people in the LGBTQ plus community and realizing that this is still a problem. Because I had to go through this process of being like, first, I think maybe even this time last year, I didn't really realize that this was like a thing still. It's like 2021 and I was like, I feel like people are pretty cool with this. There's probably like the odd few people here and there that are like still.
I can tell you my wedding got protested by assholes, so.
Really?
Yeah. Here in Calgary, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, and so like it's stories like that, right? It's like, this is still a thing. And once I heard these stories, I was like, okay. And then I remember I was in Nashville just like doing writing and stuff back in November, and I thought about it like seriously. I was like, if I had to like come out, if I discovered that my sexuality was more fluid or whatever, and I had to come out to the industry, that's terrifying, right? To the general community, that's terrifying. Even my family is like very accepting, right? It's still scary. It's still a scary thought. It's still like, because it's an entire change in in how people perceive you. And there's this like sort of silent stigma in a lot of places. And I realized that, well, if I ain't saying something, like I'm just sort of silently like a part of this problem, right? And I thought back to like when I was a kid and how we used to say stuff like, oh man, that's so gay, and things like that, and you call kids fags and stuff and whatever else. That was just culture. That was just socially acceptable. And I remember like I always thought, well, if somebody's gay, like I don't care, like whatever. But you think about how kids communicate and how that it would be like so terrifying to come out in that sort of environment. So even that, like in a relatively progressive space, there's still this sort of weird thought around it. And then after I wrote the song and I kind of started to get feelers like in Nashville and stuff, it still felt like it's just something that we kind of don't touch. This is just sort of, it's like,
Is it because the culture around country music, do you think?
I think so.
Do you think?
I think a lot of it is just sort of like deeply ingrained. Like country music can be so vibrant. Like, I mean, you look at like Casey Musgraves, like Brothers Osborne, right? Like you look at some of these people who have like paved the way for conversations like this, and it can be super vibrant, and at the same time, it can be massively conservative, right? It can be very old school in its thinking. So it's diverse, but I think generally country music hasn't, like you don't have like a song like Wish You Were Gay by Billie Eilish in country music or something like that. You know what I mean? Like it's still very much like, these tried and true ways. And what I wanted to do was talk about that experience for people, like people had kind of shared with me, collect these stories, and talk about it from that perspective. Like, what's it like in the Bible Belt? What's it like in like on the prairies?
Yeah.
What's it like, in these pockets? Because I didn't have to experience this. I couldn't recite you a line from the Bible. I'm not like an authority on this stuff. But once I learned how this felt for people, right? Then it became apparent that I just had to share the human experience of it.
Thank you. And I'm not sure if anyone's ever said that, but I can tell, and I'm not trying to interrupt you, but we need more people in country music like yourself, because I can tell I've been a country music fan since I was like knee-high to a grasshopper, and coming out as gay, there was no country music star or country music song that I could go, okay, can I connect with that, right? So when I hear this and I hear the backstory and I hear your passion for it, it seems like you're trying to open the door, but doing it in such an ingrained community, it must be hard.
I think it would be if I didn't have such an awesome team. I sent the song to the label immediately. They're like, yeah, this is what we're doing.
Oh, wow.
Like, there was no question around it, right? I mean, to be fair, I think it's a pretty great song. I think it's just written well, I think, but that message was never questioned. It was like, this needs to be said, this needs to be heard.
Yeah.
And I fully, like, immediately after I wrote it, we agreed that we were going to put it out. I was like, yeah, people are going to not like this. I'm going to get some like hate on, for this. But that's kind of the point.
Did you ever think you might get questioned about your sexuality? Because that's always the big concern, right?
Yeah, totally. But I think it's important that I do this as an ally. I think it is important that that like I haven't experienced this, because I want to open this up for other people who haven't experienced this too. While I want to, like, it's like, cause like your story and that thing of like, man, I haven't felt like I had representation like this before. Yeah, that's what I'm hearing. I mean, I'm seeing people talk about that on my TikTok, you know what I mean? I'm like hearing that from people in DMs, people are sharing this with me of like, nobody's said it like this before. And that's what I thought when I wrote it too. I was like, how has this not been written? Like it was sort of like a stream of consciousness type of write. Like it just kind of poured out of me. And I was like, how have I not thought about this? How has nobody else written this song? I'm like, it just feels like it was right there the whole time. But yeah. And so, it's one of those things where like, I want to have that, and I want to also communicate to other people like me, in my position, didn't even realize it was like a big deal, and share that experience and be like, this is how it is. This is how it feels for people, whether, it's really true to the stories that are in that song, or it's some sort of offshoot of that. It's because, it's such a wide spectrum, but what I want to do is communicate it from a place of like, understanding and compassion, because I don't think most people are out here like actively hating on love. Really,
Sure.
I don't think most people are like really aggressively doing that. I think there's people who are, but I think a lot of people just maybe don't understand it, understand what it feels like, and understand just the diversity of how people might want to express themselves, how people feel inside and how they want to express themselves. I don't want people to feel like if they're into country music or in the country community or just in general, people shouldn't feel like they got to hide who they are. There's no logical reason why you should have to.
Yeah.
But I think it can be scary if you're if you never had to deal with anything like that, if that doesn't ring true for you. And then you see people putting their pronouns in their bio, right? And then you see like a kid doing drag, and you're like, whoa, that's a bit much. It's like, no, like that's people expressing themselves, and we need that, and it's a positive force.
Well,
so I just want to share that.
Yeah, well, I thank you so much for starting that conversation and sharing that.
Yeah.
I know you have another interview here, so
Yeah.
I want to cut this out. But the links to Dustin's information, his social media pages, his music are in the show notes. Please check it out. I highly recommend it. Dustin, thank you so much for doing this.
Well, I appreciate you.
Yeah.
Thanks for taking
We'll be
the
right back in a few seconds with another great artist. Talk to you soon.
time. Cool.
Welcome back. We are sitting down with Jamie Lynn. Jamie, thank you so much for doing this. Greatly appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
Jamie, I've started off all my interviews today the exact same way. You're no exception. What does music mean to you?
Oh my gosh, that's such a deep question.
Love it.
Oh gosh, it's like
really put you off your game.
It means
too.
like there's so many. Yeah, I know. It means a lot of things to me. It's like therapy. It's like fun.
Love the one-word answers. It means fun.
Yeah, it is fun. I don't know. It's
Where
great.
does music come from for you, though?
Where does it come from?
Like, did you grow up in a musical household?
I didn't.
Really?
No. It was actually, so when I was like little, my best friend at the time, she was like, hey, like this local music store has a choir class and I'd love to join it. Can you like join with me? I'm like, no, ew, like that sounds traumatizing and embarrassing. Anyway, like she ended up dragging me to the choir and I fell in love with it there. And then, then I learned about Taylor Swift and I was like, oh, that's awesome. I want to be her. Yeah.
You are sort of a newcomer on the country music scene.
Yeah.
Being here at the CCMAs with your peers now, people you've probably looked up to. What's it feel like to be here at the CCMAs and be surrounded with such amazing Canadian talent like yourself, but also some of the people you've possibly grew up with?
Yeah, it's super exciting and very inspiring. I think this is my second or third CCMA. It's my first time doing the Media Rose situation, but yeah, it's super inspiring and I love being able to connect with everyone who's kind of doing the same thing and has the same like inspirations and like passions. It's really cool.
So you've released a song earlier this year, No Complaints. Where does that song come from?
So it actually was inspired by, I wrote the first like line in high school about a girl that was bullying me at the time. And then I just like left it for a few years and then took it to a co-write and we totally like turned it around and made it into like this silly, high-spirited, like no complaints, silly song. And which is super cool. I'm super happy with how it turned out.
So take me through your writing style, because there's many different artists who I've had on the show and talk about their writing style, whether it be it's something that comes from a moment in life that you write a song with, which you talked about, bully, or it could be just something you've heard, a person that you know. For you, when you're writing a song, where does that inspiration come from?
So many things, like, love, and sometimes I'm just like writing about things that haven't personally happened to me too, like I can get inspired from the relationships around me and the struggles that they go through. I did that a lot with my song Sincerely His Ex. There's a lot of women in my life who's kind of been in the same situation, and so I wrote about that. So many different things.
You must find it challenging, though, because the last 2 years we've been in a pandemic.
Yeah.
You had to sort of readapt to what a music industry is like. For you, who released this song earlier this year, you have an album coming out, if it's not already out. If I'm not,
it's not out yet.
Not out yet. Sorry, I just wanted to double check that,
yeah.
because we had a guest on who said, no, that song came out today. I was like, oh, sorry. So I was like, okay. So for you, writing this new album that's not out, but is going to be released in 2022, if I'm not mistaken, correct? Hopefully,
yes. It might be 2023.
It might be 2023.
Early 2023, yeah.
So putting this album together during a pandemic where not a lot of interaction could happen, how was that for you?
Well, I released my first single in January 2020.
Releasing singles during the pandemic is all you know. So now that you can go out on the open road, you must be excited as heck.
Yeah, it's super exciting.
So what are you looking forward to? Is it getting in front of the live audience once again, or for the first time?
Definitely. I've done some live shows already, and it's super nice to be face to face. Like in the pandemic, I did do like a ton of Instagram lives and Facebook lives. So I really felt like I was able to connect with my fans and everyone that way.
But there's always a difference, right?
But there's
because
definitely
the live
a
feeling.
difference. Yeah, like people are typing their like reactions or whatever, but it's nice to see people's faces.
So while we can talk about the upcoming album, there's always what's next, right? So you have the album coming out hopefully by 2023. What's after that? Is it more touring? What's on the agenda for Jamie?
I'd like to plan a tour. I've never been on tour per se before, but I'd like to do that one day and just keep plugging away, playing shows, writing songs. Yeah.
Well, Jamie, thank you so much for doing this. Greatly
Thank you.
appreciate it. How can people follow you? How can people find your music?
Yeah, so my handle on Instagram is JamieLynn Music, JamieLynne Music. And yeah, my website too. it's all on Spotify, iTunes, etc. So yeah.
So for anyone, as I've said throughout this entire day so far, the links to Jamie's social media pages are in the show notes. They'll be released on social media tomorrow. So there'll be a page put up on the Cross Border Interviews website, and then also your Spotify. Check it out. Highly recommend. Great artist. And then head over to Spotify because her singles are on the Cross Border Interviews CCMA's music list that we put together before the show. So Jamie, thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you so much.
We'll be right back in a few minutes with another great artist. Talk to you soon, everyone. Welcome back. We are with James Downen. James, thank you so much for being on the show and
Thanks
coming
for
on.
having me.
CCMAs, what's it like to be here again?
You know, I've been to a couple, but I've never been to the CCMAs in Calgary, and that's what everybody always says. You got to go to Calgary. They know how to throw a party, and we haven't had a whole lot of parties for the last couple of years, so it's really fantastic to be here.
So let's talk about that right off. Actually, let's start off with the first question I've asked all my artists. What does music mean to you?
I think music for me has just been the constant thing in my life. If I was whatever else I've been doing, I probably should have been doing music, right? And so I think that's just, it's always been there. I've always done it, not always professionally. I've always been a singer, but I think it's just I'm living my best life or more fulfilled when I'm doing music, particularly original music.
Did you grow up in a musical household?
Not particularly.
Really?
No, not really. My grandmother sang. I know
Okay.
she always sang in like choirs and that sort of thing. My dad can't hold a tune.
So like me.
Maybe. He was in a gospel group when he was younger because he was very enthusiastic. So they had like 4 microphones and his was the one that wasn't turned on. And I've shared that story before, so I know you.
So you're not going to get a call. Like, why do you keep on saying that story?
No,
10 days from now, so it's September 9th, September 19th, you have a new single dropping.
I do, yeah.
So let's talk about that, and I just want to make sure I get this right here. Raised On.
Raised On.
So what is Raised On? Talk me through about this new song.
Sure. It is, I guess it's really just about sort of the values that you have, the things that you are raised on. The chorus is, I was raised on Yes Ma'am and some damn good country music. Interestingly, it's a song that I didn't write, but it resonated with me. I'd connected with a songwriting group that was connecting writers and artists. I was looking for people to co-write with, and a bunch of songs were sort of pitched to me. And this is one that the moment I heard it, I'm like, I have to put my ego aside about wanting to be the songwriter, and I need to record that song because it's just a fantastic song.
So talk me through about that, because to connect to a song on an emotional level is one thing, but to connect to a song in a way that you go, this is my song. Even though I didn't write it, I'm a songwriter, this is the song that needs to be mine, and I need to put it out. So for you, what was it that really spoke to it? What was that moment? What was that lyric that you said, okay, I don't care what I have to do, I will beg, steal, or cheat to get this, but I want this song?
Yeah, probably a few things. For one thing, I mean, the song itself is just a very strong song, like really well written. So for me, I was listening for that. It also, I had a bit of a gap, I think, in the album that I'm working on. I needed something that sort of fit in that wheelhouse. But I think what spoke to me, I mean, I grew up in small towns, and it just has a small town feel. I mean, a lot of country music, I think, has a small town feel. We're in Calgary, maybe one of the biggest small towns of all. I don't know. But, so I think that just element resonated me with just sort of a simpler upbringing, simpler life. And
you talked about your new album that's going to be dropping hopefully this year?
Hopefully-ish. It's a big process doing an album. This is the first full-length album I've done, and so most of the recording is completed. There's still some guitar solos and some backup vocals and things like that. So it's 12 tracks. It's the album's called "The Long Way Home." That's a lyric from another song that I put out back in March, and "The Long Way Home" really just spoke to that winding road for me to get to country music. I think to get to doing what I'm doing right now. I took a lot of different paths and a lot of different ways to get there, but I'm here now. So,
and what does it mean to be here now? You are in the realm of some of the most famous, if not the famous, Canadian country music. You are one of their peers now. You are up there with the names that people think of. How does that feel to be here right now at the CCMAs, to be performing alongside some of the people you probably have listened to in your time?
I won't lie. I'll say it's pretty incredible. I think every artist, when they start out, feels or is concerned they don't belong, right? These are really talented, well-known people, and I'm just me, right? But the more I talk to people, I realize these are just normal people, and they've all been there in the same way. But for me, it was also just a conscious decision, too, to just sort of allow myself to be part of that community. So in recording this album, I'm working with some of the best musicians. Several of them are up for Musician of the Year awards at the CCMAs this year. Working with an excellent producer, just try to work with the best people. And the best people happen to be here right now, right? This is the epicenter of country music in Canada this weekend.
That's true. Last question for you here. How can people reach out to you? How can people learn? How can people follow your music, follow you? Because this album is going to be dropping and you want people to follow you, so how can they do that?
They can follow me on social media at James Downham Music. My website, jamesdownham.com. I think those are great ways. They can find me on Spotify and Apple Music and all those places too. So I've got this track is coming out on September 19th. It's just around the corner. I have another track that it came out in March, and a great duet with another artist I'll just give a short plug for, Amanda Kind, in the summer last year, called We're Okay. She's a fantastic singer. She would have loved to have been here but couldn't be here at CCMAs, but just look me up. You'll find me. All my music's there wherever you listen to music.
For sure. Just to my listeners and to my viewers right now, that James's information will be on the crossborderinterviews.ca website tomorrow. We will share it on social media. Check it out. Highly recommend it, because you have a fan in Northeast Calgary now, and I'm looking forward to seeing this new album once it drops.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate you having me. Thank you so much.
Perfect. We'll be right back in a few seconds with another great artist. Talk to you soon, everyone. Welcome back. We are sitting down with Graham Scott Fleming. Graham, thank you so much for being on the show.
Hey, thank you for having me.
So, Graham, let's get the first question out of the way. What does music mean to you?
Oh, gosh. Holy moly.
Go right for the jugular.
Is it getting hot in here? What is happening? Oh, geez. Actually?
Yep.
Okay.
I could change it if you want. How's the weather outside?
I didn't know if it was a joke or if we're going.
No, we are going.
I love it.
What does music... This is a great day, everyone.
I love it.
So, what does music mean to you?
Yeah. So, I honestly use music as my therapy, like especially writing. I should actually see a dang therapist, but I get my best shit out when I am playing and sitting with my guitar. And so music has always been that one thing I can actually just run to and escape this crazy world for 5 seconds. And sometimes I'm taking my darkest thoughts or memories and putting them into beautiful tunes that people can relate to. So yeah, I think it's just it's like a healing, powerful connection that we all have that is universal.
Connecting to your audience is a thing that a lot of artists like yourself strive for, right?
Yeah.
Because you write music, you put out the music, and you hope that there's a connection there. I have had the pleasure, since we scheduled this interview, to listen through your catalog of music, and I can tell you have a fan in Northeast Calgary. I'd said that to all, but it's true. Because I find myself connected. I've always been a country music fan. It's always been something that connects with me. So for you, when you're writing a song, when you're putting out an album, how hard is it to try to convey what you're trying to convey through your music to your audience? Because what I take from your music and what someone from Ontario takes from your music, two different things.
Yeah, true. I just try to be as honest as possible to myself, but also to the song. I would say, like, even for Better Man, that was an actual journal entry that I had, and I just kept writing Better Man, I could be a better man, over and over again. Then I started, making melodies, and you can take what I had, the honesty that I had talking to myself, but make it relatable into a song. That's the hardest part, but I always just want to be as honest as possible, and I think that's what people connect to. Because when you're just writing a song to write a song and make it fit A, B, B, whatever, people pick up on that, and they're not really listening to the lyrics. And the way I want to be known with my music is through being able to tell that sad story.
So you talk about that generic AABB music, but for you, there seems to be an emotion that you have when you put into your lyrics. What is that? Is it something that happens in your real life that you say, okay, I'm going to write this down? You talk about Better Man and your journal entry, but not all songs come from your journal entry, and if they do, I want to read your journal entry because I'm pretty sure that would be an amazing journal.
It's scary.
So for you, what is the flow of writing a song for you? Is it lyrics first and then tune, or is it tune first then lyrics, or is it back and forth?
Honestly, it really depends. Like, I get my inspiration from anywhere, but mostly from the people who have broken my heart. But usually I write the song like right then and there. Like, I remember waking up to a text one morning that I was just super mad.
You got broke up over by text?
No.
Okay.
No. It was just this is a different story.
Okay.
But it was just something that really triggered in me, and I got grabbed my guitar and wrote the song in 15 minutes. Like, sometimes it just comes out like that, and that's actually my next song that's coming out in November. I'm not even meaning to pitch it.
Well, let's pitch it. Pitch it now.
I don't even know if I'm allowed to. I think I am.
Okay, maybe not. Don't pitch it, but stay tuned to November.
Follow me. Follow me, you'll hear it.
Yeah.
No, but some of my
this
stuff...
would be a good interview to break up the day.
Sorry.
Hey, I love it.
It's cool. I love that I can get inspiration from anywhere, and I think anyone can. Honestly, people always ask me, like, how do you write these songs you're writing? And I just put the pen to the paper and write my genuine emotion. And obviously I've worked now for a long time to figure out how to make it a song, but generally everything I write, like Deja Vu, that was a real story that happened to me. Yeah, horrible. Everyone sucks.
I feel like I need to hug you.
I know.
I feel like
is this where I'm coming to cry? I said music's my therapy, but I think this is my therapy.
Cross-border interviews. We solve the world's problems, one person at a time.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Wow.
Is it hard? Because emotion is one thing.
Yeah.
Country music and emotion is another thing. Because when you think of country music, you think of hard, strong people. But when you convey emotions in a song like you do, it can come off as sincere, but it also can come off as insincere. But when you listen to your music, you're like, holy crap, this guy has gone through things. This guy feels like, I feel the emotion that he put into writing these songs like Better Man and Deja Vu. But is it hard when you're actually getting ready to hit that publish button to say, okay, let's go, I'm going to put it out no matter what. If someone likes it, it's great. If someone loves it, it's great. If someone hates it, screw that.
Yeah. Well, thank you, first of all. Second of all, that's always the case when you're releasing music. It's like, not everyone's going to like it. And I don't even know what my target audience really is, other than just I know other people have felt this way and aren't able to say it because they aren't writers. So I'm trying to, like, be that guy. Like, I'll be the guy Taylor Swift, because I also feel like a lot of guys in country music.
So who's your Tim McGraw then?
Shoot.
Shania Twain?
Yeah, sure. No, but I feel like a lot of guys in country music don't go to the level of sharing that vulnerability as much. And there's a lot of guys in crowds that want to feel that and relate to that. And so if I can be that person, that's what I want to do. And if I have to go through some more shitty heartbreaks, then I'll do it for you.
come on the show every time you have a bra break. We'll talk
Every
about
time.
it. We'll
get it out. We'll get
digest
it out
that
in the
so that
open.
way you can get those great lyrics.
Shoot, I'm gonna write a song about this interview now.
I had a crappy interview. He made me laugh and we didn't talk. He tried to get my song. That's my singing ability there, right there.
Well, it was kind of beautiful.
Oh, thank you,
Yeah.
liar. my husband disagrees with you. So my last question before we do wrap up here is, how can people follow you? How can people listen to your music?
Yeah, I'm everywhere on social streaming platforms.
Are you on TikTok?
I am, but not for country, really. I used to do like musical theater. Did you know this about me at all?
I did.
Okay.
I did.
So
you've been
a lot
on
of
Broadway.
I did that once.
You are amazing on Broadway.
Thank you. I just got like super anxious. Started like
Why?
playing this. I don't know. It's
It's
exciting. It's
you
definitely
were
a
the
part of my
one
journey.
that I was looking forward to. Not that I wasn't looking forward to all the other artists that
He
come
loves
up.
everybody equally.
I love everyone. Totally.
That's what I say every morning in the mirror.
Yes, no,
you love
I
everyone.
know who you are. I was
on.
actually looking forward to this.
What?
Yeah.
Am I just as much of a mess as you thought I was going to be?
No, you were much better of a mess.
Oh, wow. A beautiful mess. I love that.
But you have transitioned from Broadway to music.
Yeah.
To country music.
Yeah.
Live theater 7-8 times a week can be hard sometimes, and then
Very.
live shows at 11 o'clock at night are completely different than a matinee. So how
Very.
is that transition being?
It's definitely a process.
Yep.
And even vocally, to do 8 shows a week is already tough for theater, but we have practice and we know how to sing. Our technique is there always. With this, every show is different, every venue is different, every sound is different. So I've been learning how to maintain the vocal stability here. But it's fun. The difference between audiences is, theater audiences are listening and quiet. Country audiences are listening, but rowdy as heck, and give you a different energy to, keep going.
Do you feed off the audience?
Always.
Really?
Oh yeah, I love it. I mean, I'm a weapon myself. Like I'm pretty crazy, but
What? The last 10 minutes would never have assumed that.
oh shoot. But yeah, always. Even with theater, you can tell when an audience is liking it or not. And sometimes you have to work harder to get their attention or get them on your side. But that's the part of the craft that I love, is that it's always different. So. Yeah.
But you have social media. We went on a tangent there from
Sorry.
TikTok, but that's the great thing about this show. We don't give two craps about the structure of the show as long as we get the information out. But you have all the social medias, right?
Yeah. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok.
OnlyFans.
No, I'm joking. You said we could say anything, right? Oh wait, shoot! Oh my gosh! All right,
Your
delete.
PR person has just basically
I
yelled
just
at
got
me.
fired. I just lost my record deal.
But no, for anyone who's listening and watching this later on and right now, Graham's information will be in the show notes tomorrow morning. So his Facebook, Instagram, Spotify account, all that stuff will be there. Not his OnlyFans account, because that's just not what we do on
And
this
no
show.
one wants to see that anyway.
You never know. There's some weird people out there, Graham.
Oh shoot!
So with that, thank you so much, Graham. Greatly appreciate having you on the show.
Hey, thank you for having me.
For sure. Well, we'll be right back in a few seconds with another great interview. Talk to you later, everyone.
Oh, yeah.
Welcome back, everyone. That's how we start the show on the
how we start.
Yeah. Kelly Prescott is here with us today. Kelly, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you. I'm so glad we're best friends now.
Totally. She knows that we love dogs on the show, so she's coming over to, so husband of mine, clean up the house. That will hopefully spark some
don't worry about it. It's fine.
Kelly, I've started off all of my entries today the same way. You're no exception. What does music mean to you?
Well, I mean, it's in my blood. I'm third-generation musician from both sides of my family. I grew up in the industry. I grew up on a tour bus and in a studio, so it's my life. It's what connects people. And
how do you connect with people through your music?
I think that I'd like to think that I'm a storyteller, and I love to tell real stories, talk about real life, and I try not to hide the truth. I'm a very honest person. I'm an open book, really.
Oh, challenge accepted.
Hey, try me.
I have been up way too long today for that question to be posed to me. But let's talk about music and your writing. Where does the music and the writing come from for you?
Well, life experience. I mean,
Yeah. Because I've heard that answer a lot today. For you, is it actually a moment in time that you can look back and say, this is a song? Or is it something that you think is going to happen? What do you mean by life experience?
No, for me, I mean, I feel like I've lived a lot in my years. I've been through a divorce. I've been through a lot of loss. I've been through a lot of things. So I usually just write what I'm feeling. It's very therapeutic for me. I'm not always great at expressing myself through words. So I find when you write a song, like I said, it's therapy, and it's like my one way of those walls kind of coming down and just being totally vulnerable, totally honest, and letting it all out.
How hard is it to be honest in your music? Because for time to time, I've heard artists come on the show and say, hey, it's an honesty outlet for me. For you, putting out music is hard in the average day, but putting out music that is honest and true to who you are must be even more challenging. For you, why be honest in your music? What about it draws you to it?
I guess because that's what I listen to. I love real music. I love real stories. Some of my favorite artists are people that were amazing songwriters, wrote from the heart.
Now, your EP, Cloud 9.
Yeah.
You have great songs on this.
Thank you.
Honesty and emotion are one thing that when I listen, you can tell that there's a lot of emotion in this album for you. Talk to me through about creating this album for.
Yeah, we kind of wrote all of this in almost less than a week. I mean, I wrote a ton through the pandemic, wrote so many songs, and we had a bunch kind of lined up, and then ended up going with the four that we wrote in. I flew to California, rented a cabin in Big Bear, brought two of my favorite writers from right.
Oh my God, we are new best friends.
I know. Are we going to Big Bear?
Let's do it
with the dogs.
Let's do it.
I'll bring mine too.
Let's do it.
Okay.
We'll have 30 dogs in there.
Let's not get eaten by a bear.
Yeah, I'm big enough. I'll tackle it.
Yeah.
I'm gay. I'm a bear. It's okay.
Oh my God, I love you. This is so
This
fun.
is why I'm in the corner. They put the random people in the corner.
I'll
Nobody
stay
puts
here.
baby in a corner.
Nobody puts baby in the corner.
Baby bear, though. But for you,
so we rented this cabin and we wrote all of these songs in less than a week, and it was pretty heavy because we went from writing. I mean, there's a little bit of everything on this EP. There's the love song that's about my partner, and then there's the heartbreak song. That one was really tough. I cried pretty much the whole day while we were writing that one. It took 2 days actually to write One Mistake. That's one of my favorites on the EP, and it was a very very therapeutic song. And I cried. We went in to cut these songs in Nashville, and I actually cried so much on the vocal. We had to use the original demo vocal. I couldn't even make it through. I was in the studio booth on the floor in tears.
Wow.
And so we ended up using the demo vocal from California for that song. We just used the scratch vocal that we had cut the day that we wrote it. So yeah.
You seem to be a very versatile artist, and like you said, that the album, you have love songs, you have sort of joyful songs, you sort of the traditional country songs. What was it about that made you want to put this type of album together? Not the traditional one line, one highway type of album
Yeah.
where it'd be all sad songs or all
Yeah.
happy songs. This album is all.
It's
a mix
all
of
over the
everything.
map. Yeah, I think that's just who I am as a person. I'm a lot of personality.
Love it.
I get bored easily too, and I love listening to a lot of different stuff. So to me, it was just it came from having ADHD. I think it's just like bing bing squirrel squirrel. I don't know. I like to switch it up, and it's something that I would listen to. So
we can talk about the past, we can talk about what you're doing now, but what's the future hold for you? What are you looking forward to? Because CCMAs are now, but after that, are you heading out on tour, getting back out there after the pandemic and actually performing live again?
This summer was insanity, to be honest. We were on the Dallas Smith tour, Some Things Never Change tour for 6 weeks, and then festival season started, and we were playing every weekend. So to be honest, after CCMAs, I'm looking forward to going home and snuggling my dog for a week. I can't wait. I've missed my place.
Up at 4 o'clock in the morning
Yeah,
or 4 o'clock.
yeah, like drinking till 2 a.m. and then waking up 2 hours later. It's awesome. Living the dream.
Living the dream. I'm living Kelly's dream right now. How can people find you? How can people reach out or listen to your music?
Well, I mean, I'm on all streaming services. Kelly Prescott. Come follow me on Instagram. I'm a jackass. It's a fun time.
As long as you don't promote TikTok, we're still best friends.
No, I don't. I don't. I'm too old. I'm too
Best
old
friends.
for TikTok. Yes, we are best friends. No, I tried. I just don't have the energy. I don't want to. I don't want to dance.
Yeah.
My dance moves are terrible. This is not something people need to see.
This is why I stand still on stage and do not move. You come to my
Actually,
show.
that's not true. I take my clothes off and swap T-shirts with old men. Okay, well, that's going to make sense if you come follow me on Instagram.
Yes, do that.
It's a weird
Because
thing.
right now, I'm not swapping my shirt with hers because
No, you don't have enough. I love really loud Hawaiian shirts. It's my thing. It's my thing.
Well, Kelly, thank you so much for doing this. and
This
sitting
is
down and
great.
chat. Well, it's always great to have someone like yourself come on. The last few interviews have been very energetic, so I'm happy to have you on as well. Well, we'll be right back in a few minutes with another great artist. Thank you, Kelly.
Thanks.
Welcome back. We are live again with Sean Oates, country music star. Sean, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me, pal.
So, Sean, let's get this party started with the question I've asked every single guest who's come on the show.
Sure.
What does music mean to you?
Well, it's got me through some dark times back in the day in life, so it means almost everything to me. It's a way to express myself and get some of those demons out, right? But yeah.
And were you brought up in a musical household?
My dad played guitar, not very well, but he played guitar and he gave me my first guitar. So yeah, I played guitar for a long time, and just this last few years I started really promoting myself and trying to get out there.
So, welcome to Calgary. Welcome to the CCMAs. What's it like to be here as an artist, surrounded by some of your peers now?
Well, this is my first one, so there's a lot of people that were like Facebook friends, right?
Yes.
You know, so
totally with the real world of Facebook friends.
But so I could pretty much walk up to anybody and be like, "Hey, man, we're friends, right?" Like, and they know who I am, I know who they are. But yeah, it's been nice to see some old faces and a bunch of new ones. And yeah, like I said, it's my first one, so I think I didn't get home till like 2 a.m. last night, and I had to be here for 8 o'clock.
Yeah, this is a really weird time. The last time I did this, it was 6 o'clock in the afternoon, not 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
So this was a very
At least you get a bunch of artists that aren't half cut already.
half cut, or they're still cut from last night,
Yeah.
and they haven't gone to bed
Yeah.
yet, which was 1 at 7 o'clock.
Yeah, I didn't even eat supper last night, so I don't like to eat before I play. And then, of course, they start handing out free shots and all that kind of stuff. So
how has it been playing back in front of live audiences again? Because during the last 2 years, we all know the pandemic has ravaged this
well, you know what,
industry.
man? The last time I played a show was in 2017. That was with Jess Moskaluk and the Trues at the Edmonton Army Base. So it's been a long time. So I felt pretty rusty up there, but it worked out. And of course, I'm the opening act. So
you start the whole. If
they're
you're
working out
level
the
of band.
kinks. Yeah, they're working out the kinks. You know, getting the vocals down, the guitar, at my expense. But it's all good. That's part of being the new guy on the block, right?
So does it feel weird being the new guy on the block? Because country music seems to be one of these genres that is open to all people, right? You might be the new person who's put out a song, but at the end of the day, you're still a friend. Like you said, you're still Facebook friends with all these
Like
people.
I said, everyone's, you know, it's such a tight-knit community when you actually do come to the CCMAs and you meet everybody. Everyone's so awesome. Everybody's nice. I mean, we're all dreamers, right? We're all here for the same reason. So,
Yeah.
I mean, there's lots to talk about with even people you don't even know, right? So, yeah.
So let's talk about music style here. You've released music. So talk me through how does Sean create music? Is it music first then lyrics, or lyrics first then tune, or is it tune first then lyrics?
It's usually melody first, and
Melody,
then the lyrics
that's the
come.
word.
Usually we'll have an idea of what we want to write about and go from there. But it's usually always melody first. You know, you can have the best lyrics in the world, but if it doesn't, you know, you can't tap your foot to it. What's the point, right? So.
And do you find that you've connected with the audience in the way that you wanted them to connect to your music?
I think so. I mean, I know I'm a new guy on the block, but my last single I did with Jeff Johnson, This One's on Me. It's my single that's out right now.
Yep.
It's got like almost 100,000 streams already. So as a new artist, that's a big feat, you know. So I'm
So
pretty
take me
proud
through
of
the
it.
process of writing that song.
Well, I didn't write that song.
Okay.
That was given to me by Jeff, my
So
producer.
what connected you to that song?
I wanted something that was just. I'm kind of a ballad guy. I write lots of ballads, and you know, sometimes you just want to tap your foot. And he had a song, and he wanted me to cut it, and I loved it. It's just a fun song. It's like basically just a straight up drinking song. So, you know,
It's
summer
country
jam.
music 101. Right?
Yeah, straight up drinking song. Yeah, but all my other stuff, like Out of This Town, that did really well. That put me on the map. The single before this did really well. I wrote that song. So I do write all of my music. Mostly, I try to. But we got, I recorded 5 songs with Jeff. So we got lots of stuff still coming. So I got like 4 songs still to release that are already ready to go. And those are all songs that I've written.
So what's the future hold now? Because I'm one of these people that always talks about the past, but also always looks towards the future, right? After the CCMAs, are you back out on tour? Are you looking forward to getting out in front of live audiences once again?
Yeah.
And not be the new guy on the block anymore?
Yeah, so I'm still gonna fight tooth and nail, right? Like, you know, us Canadians are used to doing that, right?
Yeah.
Fighting, and so yeah, like I said, I got another single coming out. I'm not sure which one I'm gonna release yet. I do have a song we wrote to be a duet, so when I find the right partner for that one, we'll release that one.
It's always great to be in this place where
Yeah, no doubt, right? There's tons of them here, so yeah. Yeah.
So, how can people learn more, reach out, follow you? Is
You
there
can-
social media accounts that you have?
Yeah, if you go to shawnotesmusic.com, you can find me everywhere.
And for those who are listening and tuning in, please check it out. It's highly recommended. But also,
It's amazing.
links to Sean's Facebook social media accounts will be in the show notes tomorrow. Sean, thank you so much for this. It's been an honor
thanks
and a
for
pleasure.
meeting me. Man.
Sorry, it's been one of those days where it's been a long day.
Yeah. They got like a dog show in the back there going on.
Is that what that is?
I have no idea.
Okay, I've heard dogs. I saw one little chihuahua, but I heard big dogs. It's like,
Yeah.
what's going on here?
I was like, it's like a dog training seminar and then a bunch of radio interviews on the other side.
That's okay. Good times. We'll be right back after a quick break with another great artist. Stay tuned, everyone. Welcome back. We are live again with Melissa Livingstone. Melissa, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me. This is great.
CCMAs, welcome. Woo! Are you excited?
I'm so pumped. It's been 3 years since I've been to CCMAs, so.
3 years of the pandemic
Yes,
as well, so this
yeah.
must be really a homecoming.
It's honestly big reunion, good times, fun people. I love it.
I've started off all my interviews the same way. You're no exception. What does music mean to you, Melissa?
Honestly, music has been my entire life since I was a child. I don't know what I would be doing without music, so I feel like to me, it's everything.
And what does everything mean? Is it love?
feel like
Is it emotion?
There are so many things about music. I don't think I would be able to tell people how I feel without songwriting. I feel like without songwriting, I would be not mentally okay. So that's a huge factor for me. And it just brings me joy. Like, I love what I do. It's my career. I love that I get to entertain people. I love to be able to connect with people. It just like brings friendships together. So it's everything.
It must have been hard to connect and have that passion flow during the quote-unquote lockdown and
it was
the
very
pandemic.
difficult, yes.
So for you as an artist, how did you overcome that?
Honestly, it was really not great for the first 9 months. I was definitely not mentally great for a while. I didn't songwrite for literally half of the year, and all my shows were canceled. So I found ways to still connect with people online, obviously, like TikTok, social media, Instagram. I did a lot of like live shows, what are they called? Live streams?
Yep.
And so I did that. But
there must be
it's not the same.
Exactly.
It's not the same. You can't connect with people the same way. People will be like, oh, great job, like online. But it's not the same connection as obviously like even a conversation in person is so much better. So it's not the same. But here we are.
Here we are, and you're back.
Yeah.
And you're performing live again,
Yes.
so it must be exciting.
Oh my gosh, best time ever.
So what is it about that live performance for you that you thrive off of? Because I've heard from different musicians and different artists say they love the audience participation, the back and forth, whether they sing a song, whether it be clapping. For you, what is it?
So this is so selfish of me.
Do it on the show.
I love to be the center of attention. But that's why I'm an artist, is because I love to shine.
You cannot be selfish anymore.
No.
Never again. You are a bad artist.
Yes, I'm terrible. But I love to be the center of attention. I love when people watch me. I love when people are also like singing songs back to me, especially if it's one of my songs. I did a bunch of shows, did a like Canadian tour in July, and I did Manitoba, Alberta, and BC. And just like, obviously it's been 3 years since I've seen so many of these people, and like having all that attention on me was just so fun. But it's also a group participation, because without the crowd, what would I be?
Exactly.
So we're all in it together.
We are all in it together, but let's talk about the future.
Okay.
CCMAs are now.
Yep.
What's next? You're out in tour in July, but what's next now?
Okay, so I live in Nashville.
Yep.
So I moved there 6 months ago, and I'm currently working with Grady Saxman.
Ooh.
So I was just in the studio 3 days ago, literally the day before flying here.
Okay. Welcome to Canada.
Yeah, pretty much. And so we are recording the next single, which is going to be a banger, I gotta say. Very excited.
Can we get what's the name of the?
It's called Grew Up on it.
Oh, okay.
That's all you're gonna get.
Dang.
I know. We're gonna be doing an acoustic video for it at the end of September. And I don't know if you've heard of The Listening Room.
Yep.
But that's gonna be my debut on September 17th. So I'm gonna be doing that show for my first time.
December 17th?
September 17th, which is in like a week and a
Like
bit.
less than 7 days.
Yeah.
Less than 8 days.
Yeah,
Wow.
I know. So very excited about that. And then starting to work with a couple American booking agencies. So I'm hoping, this is just me putting it out into the universe, but to do an American tour next year, the summer. Come back for a couple shows here in Canada, but
Calgary Stampede. You have
obviously,
to be back for the Calgary
It's
Stampede.
the best. Honestly, I had the best time this summer at Calgary Stampede. So yeah, I have to come back.
Shameless plug for Calgary. Woo! Insert random town here. Welcome to Hoda. But you've had an amazing career so far. You must be looking forward to the future.
Oh, yeah.
What it holds. What is the goal? Like, is it just continue doing what you're doing now and just loving it, or is there putting it out there? There's an artist you want to duet with? Is there a group?
Oh my gosh, I would love to open up or sing with Cody Johnson. Putting it out there. Yeah. And then obviously I'd like to chart. So I would like my next single to chart in Canadian radio, and I'd like it to be played in Texas radio, something that I'm passionate about. Looking
Why
into
Texas?
the future.
Why
I just
not
love Texas
Tennessee?
country. And Tennessee.
I was going to say,
like,
you literally live in Nashville, and no, screw Nashville. I want Texas,
country.
Dallas, Austin, you're mine.
I don't know. I feel like there's a very niche market in Texas, and I feel like my brand would fit in there very well. So it's something that I would like to explore and try and figure out. But I'm also wanting to get a record label while I'm in Nashville, and so those are all things that I'm looking forward to.
So how can people connect? How can people follow you? How
can
can
follow
people
me.
listen to your music?
So everything is going to be under my website, but if you don't want to go there, it's melissalivingstone.com. But you can go to my Instagram, which is Melissa Livingstone Music, and then Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, all that. It's just Melissa Livingstone.
which for those who are listening who are frantically writing everything down right now,
Yeah.
links will be in tomorrow's episode, so it will be released, and there'll be a complete list of Melissa's Facebook, social media, website, and also Spotify and all these streaming platforms.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I do things for my artists that come
I
on the show.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been fun.
Yes, it has been. We'll be right back after a quick break, and we'll be back with another great artist. Talk to you soon, everyone.
Woo.
Welcome back. We are live again with Bree Taylor. Bree, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to chat with you.
I'm excited to have you on the show as well.
Yeah.
Where does your sense of music come from?
Oh
Where does
my
your
gosh,
love
everywhere.
of music come from?
Well, honestly, I was born to music in the delivery room to James Taylor, which is where my middle name Taylor comes from. My parents, I don't know if they knew I was going to be a musician, but I feel like it was destined to happen. And then, my dad and my parents aren't musical, but they just are very big music fans. And my dad made this mixtape, and growing up, they always surrounded me by a ton of music in different genres. My mom was the country fan, my dad's into the classic rock and the pop stuff, and I feel like that's why my music is so different than, traditional country. It has that appeal to other audiences and people who like other genres, and making them love country and come fall in love with country music.
So your newest song is going to be dropping here in 7 days on the 16th.
It's coming out September 23rd, actually.
it's
It was
not-
supposed to be, I'm sorry.
I feel bad about the people who sent me this information.
I'm sorry, no, it might have been, I'm sorry.
It was her.
I think it was me.
So September 23rd then,
So, yeah,
it's going to
we
be coming
did-
out, My Last Breath.
Yes, My Last Breath.
So what's this song about?
So it's my first love song officially that I'm
Uh-oh.
putting out, which is kind of interesting because I'm such an emotional songwriter, and I've been through a lot of, the heartbreak and all that kind of stuff, and a lot of my music has been that. And I wrote the song when I was very tragically single, and not in a place of being in love, which was ironic and kind of hard to write a song like that at the time. But my co-writers, Pete L'Esperance and my producer, Marie Daigle, they had just said, they're married and in love. And they're like, why don't we write about how you want to feel, where you want to get there? And so the song's basically about going through all the heartache and not finding your person and being kind of frustrated with that, but then finding that person and how amazing the feeling is of being in love and loving someone so much that you'll love them until your very last breath. So that's how the song kind of came full circle. And thankfully now I am in a really 2.5 year loving relationship, and it's like almost I manifested my love story. So I'm really, feeling good about it now. And now that I'm releasing it, I'm in that place.
So what is it about this song that connected with you? Because you are putting it out and it is a single, so you must have some special. What are you hoping that your audience and your fans get from this song?
Well, I really want it to resonate with all people in one, the people that are in love and have their person or have been married several years or getting married, but I also want the people who are in those places that I was in to know that there's hope, you can find that person, and that when you do, it'll be that great feeling, and that no matter where they're at in their stages of finding love, that love is out there, and to have that positive outlook on it, like I was trying to at the time, and my co-writers helped me find, and I'm a hopeless romantic, and I've been in those places of being frustrated and not going through the dating woes. My song Kryptonite was all about finding not the right person, but it was the wrong person, and going back again and again, and finally finding that right person is always a great moment, and being in love is a great feeling, and finding love is a great feeling. So I hope love's universal, so it's for everybody.
So you are at the Calgary CCMAs. How does it feel to be here surrounded by your peers after 2 years of hardships for this industry?
Oh my gosh, it's been amazing, and I'm so excited. This is just getting started for the week. It's going to be fun. I'm just happy to see all of my fellow artist friends and connect with people and just get to spend time in person. I'm a people person, so I really thrive on that in-person energy, and the last 2 years have definitely been very challenging, but I'm glad to be here, and I think everybody is, and it's been such a great week so far, and I'm excited to see where it goes from here.
So where can our listeners and our followers find you? Is there any social media accounts that you have?
Yeah, my website, BreeTaylor.com, and they can also find my Instagram is my primary thing, Bree Taylor Official. So at Bree Taylor Official, they can follow me, see my tour dates and shows coming up and all that. I do have my album coming out on October 7th.
I was going to say that, but I didn't know because the date on here says October 7th. Oh, it is
Oh,
right,
it is.
October.
That is correct. That is going to be solid. And then I do have my pre-album release party on October 1st at the Rec Room Square 1 Mississauga. We're going to have a really great lineup of some other artists that'll we'll drop who's performing soon.
If you're in Mississauga on the 1st, be sure to check that out.
Yes, and every ticket sold is such a good cause because it provides 10 meals to feed children and families suffering from food insensitivity in Canada. So we partner with Kids Against Hunger Canada. So my Cheers and Beer concert series, that's what we do every time we do a show. We give back. So it's a really important cause for me to be involved in, and I'm excited to continue that moving forward and get people fed.
Well, Bree, thank you so much for this and sitting down and chatting with us today.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
The links to Bree's information, social media pages are in the show notes. Check it out. I highly recommend it. Look for her new album dropping on October 7th and her new song, My Last Breath, on September
23rd.
23rd. Bree, thank you.
Thank you so much.
We'll
so
be,
great to see you.
We'll be right back after another quick break. I'd say commercial break, but there's no commercials. We're not that fancy yet. As I cough as we go live, welcome back. We are sitting down with country music star Tommy Charles. Tommy, thank you so much for doing this.
Thanks to you, Chris.
Tommy, let's talk about music first off. What does music mean to you?
It's the blood in my veins, I guess. It's a bug I caught when I was a kid somewhere, and now it doesn't want to let go of me.
Well, it doesn't want to let go with you, but you are here at the Canadian Country Music Awards. The association is putting on here in Calgary. What's it feel like to be in the midst of some of the peers that you now have in this field of music?
Oh, it's very humbling. It's very humbling because I know a lot of these guys. They've had their nose on the grindstone for decades and for years, and there's a lot to learn from them. And so I'm really happy that I get to stick around and shake hands and get a couple of advice.
Do the things that you need to do.
Yes.
Let's talk about the new single, which is looking like that. Talk me through. How did this song come about?
It was pitched to me about a year ago, and it's written by Derek Rattan, Jim Beavers, and Drake Milligan. And I fell in love with it instantly the moment I heard it. I thought it was a great first single to get on the radio.
And what's it about?
Oh, it's about not taking yourself too seriously. That's one thing, and then it's about being in the bar, seeing that pretty girl on the other side of the room, and just going haywire. That's it.
Do you think in today's society, Canadians, Americans, people take ourselves too serious?
I think so. Sometimes, it's good to know how to laugh about yourself and to just set it loose and have fun.
We always try to look forward on the show. What's next? What's coming up? This new single is dropped.
Yeah.
The links to it will be in the show notes tomorrow. All the social media pages as well. So check them out for Tommy Charles. But what's next? So after this weekend, are you going on tour? Or because for the last few years you haven't been able to. So
yeah.
What's the next few months look like for Tommy Charles?
I'm lucky enough to be moving to Calgary in 2 weeks. So
welcome home, I guess. Welcome soon to be home.
Thank you. And next single's coming out in October, and my main focus will be to meet with people and build me a little network here. Keep writing songs and.
So what makes you want to move to Calgary?
So the real reason is I met someone.
Reason why I moved to Calgary as well.
But then again, now I'm here and I'm looking at it, and it's kind of like Canada's own little Nashville, and so I'm seeing all the songwriters. I'm listening to the music, and I'm like, yeah, I think I need to stick around for some time. So I'll be here, and hopefully in 2023 I'll hit the road. And
so you talked about your new single that's going to be dropping in October.
Yeah.
Can we get a preview? What's it called? Or are we still under lock and key on that one? I think we're still under lock.
I can't say too much, but I could say it's about a country bar.
a country bar, which we have enough in Calgary. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing you live in Calgary on one of these shows. How can people follow you? How can people reach out to you? How can people listen and be the first to hear this new single that's coming out in October, and also your new single right now, looking like that?
I mean, anybody out here listening or watching, just don't be a stranger. Text me on Instagram, on Facebook. You know, we'll I'm really at this point. I just want to meet people, and I'll be happy to talk to you and try to write a song. And so, you know, all the traditional ways of getting in touch with people, all of them work with me. So
Awesome. Tommy, thank you so much for doing this. Greatly appreciated to have you on the
Chris.
show and talk.
Really grateful for it.
We'll be right back after a quick message with country star Ben Chase. We'll be right back, everyone. Welcome back. We are with Ben Chase. Ben, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
Exactly. I think the last time you came to Calgary for the CCMAs, you drove.
I did.
All the way.
I drove here this time, too.
What?
32-hour drive up from Nashville.
From PEI?
From Nashville.
From Nashville this time?
Yeah, I live in Nashville now, but my summer just turned into being completely booked up north in Canada since July 1st. Every weekend's been like a little bit in the East Coast, a little West Coast, but being under 25, rental cars are so expensive, so I'm still driving up. So I drove up I got here July 1st, and yeah, it's a 32-hour drive, and I'm driving back on Monday.
So what's it like to be back? Sorry, I'm just grabbing a coffee, everyone, for those who are...
Hey, we all need those.
Oh, exactly. What's it feel like to be back at the CCMAs? Because last few years have kind of been up in the air, but you're back.
For sure. Yeah, it's good to be here. It's last year was like, we're all like half there, half not, but it's really nice to see everybody. It's been I really like living down south. Even just being in Calgary is awesome because I lived here for 3 years. I have a lot of friends here, and so a lot of pretty well the whole Alberta scene is here, and then obviously everybody else is around. So it's been a really fun time. It's good to see everybody.
You have been in Calgary for a few days now.
Yep.
There was a secret super project that you were working on that I can't officially say, but
exactly.
How was it? How did the super project go?
It was incredible.
Did you get what you needed done?
Everything is coming together very nicely, so I'm loving that. It's we're got a really big year mapped out for next year. So I'm very excited. We're doing all the behind the scenes work right now, and then hopefully next year is our biggest year yet. So
what does next year look like for you?
Next
new
year
album
looks like,
dropping?
Yeah, we could say that.
Okay.
We can leak some stuff.
We won't say what the album is, but there's new music dropping.
Yeah, I'm really excited artist-wise. It was the pandemic really helped me grow as a writer, and this summer was insane. Like it was like the best shows I've ever played. Is like as far as like building the bass and getting everybody excited about the music again. So got a lot of people really excited for the music, and I'm just like, let's go. So we're gonna start off really hard this fall and cycle it into next year.
Talk to me about the move to Nashville, because Nashville is known as country music town. It is where country music kind of spawned from and is why it is the way it is now. Was it an easy choice to move there?
Yeah, so for me, like in high school, it was like right out of high school, go to Alberta until I'm 21, move to Nashville. So I lived here for 3 years in Calgary and have a really great relationship, lots of friends here in the industry. But when I turned 21, I started applying to move to the States. And I just got my visa, and then the pandemic hit, and then they canceled our visas. So from there, I moved back home to PEI for 2 years, which was nice. It was good for me, even like as an artist, to like be around my family and have some new scenery instead of just being in a big city like that for a while. So I went back home and hung out for a while, and then now fully moving to Nashville has been awesome. So it's great to finally be living there and starting to, build those relationships down there has been awesome, just being in the scene.
Have you grown as an artist since you've been there? Because whenever you move to different communities and different places, you learn something from that.
Man.
Going to Nashville, have you learned something about yourself?
I've learned I got to practice more, which is like humbling, right? But it's like I grew up, like I was a wrestler in high school. It's the sport I grew up in, and it's like that. You got to work harder and you get more out of it mentality. And being down there, I mean, there's so many incredible artists, and like playing writers rounds, I'll play them, and I'm like blown away by it's like iron sharpens iron, right mentality. Yeah. But being around these guys, I'm like, okay, I want to improve. So like it's been a really good year of like motivating me to like write better songs and work on my vocals and guitar playing. So that's kind of like the most humbling part of it, I think, has been like a motivator to get better. So it's good in a good way.
I'm looking forward to the 2023 for Ben Chase. We all want to make sure that people follow you and get out and make sure that they are the first to be aware of whatever this new project that you're working on, but also your new album. How can people do that?
Yeah, I'm super active on social media. A lot of people know that about me. I love being very involved with everyone. We did an event last week, and we had sent out like 1,300 DMs individually to people like working on our crowd, and it's been incredible. I'd like to be very interactive with people on there. So my Instagram is the Ben Chase, and everywhere, obviously, streaming.
If you say TikTok, I have to kick you off the show right now.
We're not saying that.
Okay, thank you. For those who are listening and watching this, and even later on, the links to Ben's social media account, his website, his Spotify account, his Apple Music, all the streaming services that he's on are in the show notes. Please check it out, because I became a fan 3 years ago when I first sat down with Ben, and I'm still a fan today. So thank you, and I look forward to have you on the show again.
Appreciate it. We'll see you next year.
Yes, for sure. And then if it's not in Calgary, then no.
All right. No travel.
We'll be right back with another great artist. Be right back, everyone. Welcome back. We are live with country music star Chris Buck. Chris, thank you so much for being on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. Excited to have a little chat with you.
Well, welcome to Calgary and welcome to the CCMAs. You must be happy to be back, and this is one of the biggest events for country music across Canada.
Totally, yeah. Just nice seeing everybody. It's been a few years, a lot of people catching up, and I think that's been the highlight for me. Just seeing everyone improve in the last few years and writing new songs, and yeah, it's been great.
How has the last few years been for you? Because as a musician, as an artist, it was one of the industries that took a really big hit. So for you, what was it that kept you going through the pandemic?
Yeah, well, I'm pretty grateful. I actually got pretty lucky. I've been living down in Nashville off and on for 5 years now. I'm trying to get a publishing deal. For those who are listening, it's songwriting not only for myself but for other artists. So right at the beginning of the pandemic, when they asked all the Canadians to return home, I didn't have medical down in the States, so I came back, ended up buying a place up in the Okanagan, and 2 weeks later I get a phone call, like literally, "Hey man, we love your catalog of songs. We want to sign you a publishing deal. Are you in Nashville?" Well, ironically enough, I'm actually back in Canada now. They're like, "Can you come back down?" Well, not the greatest time to be crossing the border, but so that really was a blessing, because otherwise I didn't have any show revenue, so I started getting revenue from my publishing deal, so as a songwriter, so it worked out pretty good for me, yeah.
We are back now to semi-normality, and people are out touring and playing music again. It must be a little bit of a relief to be back out on the road and actually performing once again.
Yeah, it just reminds you why you start music, like during the pandemic, it's like you're doing all this hard work, you're writing, but you're not able to share it as, with a crowd and see their reaction. But yeah, the first show back, I was like, yeah, this is why I go through the bad days of the music industry for moments like this. So,
you have I just want to make sure I get the right name here. Thank God for Good Friends.
Yeah.
Talk me through about this song and where did it come from?
Yeah, really cool story. I was in west part of Nashville, a bar called Alley Taps. This guy rolls up on a motorcycle. My friend's like, "That guy wrote Friends in Low Places by Garth Brooks." And I said, "Come on." So I actually
That's what
got
they all say.
Yeah, everyone's a big writer down there, right? So I get on my phone, I look at the image of his face. I'm like, yeah, that is the guy. His name's Earl Budd, and he wrote Friends in Low Places. And I was driving away that day, and I was like, how come no one has written a sing-along, slower Friends song since that? It's been 20-something, 30 years almost. So I started brainstorming ideas because I wanted to get the right song title, and I think it came about when I was with a buddy one night, and he was like, "Yeah, man, thank God for some good friends or something." And I was like, boom, light bulb went off. I'm like, I'm writing that song, and ended up writing it with a couple good friends down in Nashville, and kind of just happened like that. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I want to talk to you about the songwriting, your technique. That's an amazing story where it's one of these. You have an idea and then you come up with the lyrics. Is that how it always works for you? Is it back and forth? What is your writing style like?
I'm a big guy on song titles. I think titles can pique your interest, and then writing a story, whether it's true or not. A lot of stories I write are true, and a lot of them aren't. People that can relate to. Like if I go on my phone, like I got thousands of song titles, and I'm always listening. My ears are always open. Like I always think, if I ever thought of the song title "Save a Horse, Ride a Cowboy," man, I wouldn't have to work again. So I'm always thinking I'm
literally, you said write a song title, and that's the first song that came to my mind. Not even a word of a lie.
Save a Horse, Ride a Cowboy.
Yeah.
Right? It's like one of those pinnacle moment song titles, right? So I'm always striving to get that. Even one of my earlier songs that started my career, "Giddy Up," I was like, I'm going to Google it. And I was like, how has no country person written a song called Giddy Up? Like, I was like, such a country saying, right? And then it came out and it did really well for me. And it's like, so I'm always, I'm a song title guy. Yeah.
Because the title can also speak to the person, right? Because you might be able to tell what type of sound the artist is going for by this title, right? With Save a Horse, Ride a Cowboy, it's going to be an upbeat.
Totally.
For Giddy Up, it's going to be an upbeat song, right? So when you wrote Thank God for Good Friends, it seems like one of those power ballads where you could sing out loud, sing it in a bar, and it could be just one of those emotional connection songs.
Yeah, like I've been playing it this weekend at writing rounds, and it's just cool. Like when it gets to the part, put on my hand, and everyone in the bar is, thank God for good friends, and you're there with your buddy, a feel-good moment, you know, crack a beer.
Is it weird to hear people sing your own songs back to you?
I love it. I think that's like the best part is like they took the time to like listen and remember stuff. As for listening to my music, I don't really listen to myself once it's out. Like in the beginning stages, I listen to it I think too much. So once it's out to the universe, I don't listen as much. But hearing people singing back is that's the best feeling ever.
So what's next? Because that's always what we want to end on this show.
Yeah.
Are you back touring? Are you back getting out there? Or I'm assuming you're back in Nashville.
Yeah.
Now.
just back songwriting till next summer, and just looking forward to that, and you know, getting in a room with bigger and better writers all the time and learning, and maybe getting that Save a Horse Riding Cowboy.
Chris, I want to thank you so much for sitting down and chatting with us today. Yeah. The links to Chris's information will be in the show notes tomorrow. Check it out.
Yeah.
Chris, thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks,
dude.
Appreciate
that was
it.
awesome.
Welcome back. We are live with Garrett Gregory, country music star. Garrett, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
I've started off all my interviews the exact same way. You're no exception. What does music mean to you?
Oh God, music is my lifeblood. It is everything to me. So basically, from when I was born to now, I've always got music on. I've always had it in my head, and I've always been writing. It's something I need. If I didn't have it, I wouldn't exist.
Your newest single dropped on September 1st, Taste of Summertime.
Yep.
Talk me through about the song.
So basically, I just wanted to write a feel-good, so many country artists do it, but I just wanted to write a feel-good summertime song that basically, and I wanted to release it towards the end of summer just to hang on to that last little bit and just make, kind of people feel awesome about just having that last little bit of warmth and heat and everything, be out in the sun, having tequila shots, all that stuff. So yeah, it's a feel-good song.
You must be excited to be back on the road, getting out there because of the pandemic for the last 2 years. You're here at the Country Music Awards in Calgary. What's it feel like to be back in sort of the crux of the Canadian country music scene right now?
It is, honestly, it's so awesome because for the past 2 years, obviously, I've just been writing music. We hadn't had many shows, and my career was just kind of starting to get rolling. I was like, oh no, what's happening? And then it opened back up basically, and I've been busy since April. It's been crazy, so thank God it didn't miss a beat. It just kept going. It's been super busy. I haven't had a day off in literally since April. So
but you must enjoy it though, right?
Oh,
you must enjoy the cram-packed ability of the seat.
It is a good stress. It's so perfect. Just being able to play and sing music every weekend is my dream. So.
On this show, we always like to look forward. We always like to look what's next. So what is next for Garrett? Is there a tour that's coming up? Or is there another single coming out?
Yeah, so basically right now it's absolutely crazy.
Hey, if Australians want to tune in, hey, welcome to the show.
Man, it's awesome. I know, it's so wild to me. But yeah, so hopefully we're going to get there and just keep playing music, just sort of take off because I haven't had any songs out until now,
So where can people follow you? How can people get informed about your new songs that are coming out for the next 6 months, once a month?
Any social media platform. So Garrett Gregory Music on Instagram. Facebook, TikTok, all that fun stuff. It's just Garrett Gregory. Look that up.
I won't hold it against you that you do TikTok. I have a crux
Man,
of it.
I'm so bad at it.
Oh, thank God.
I am so bad at it. I can't do what the young kids are doing. Are you kidding me? I'm too old for that.
Thank you. Thank you. And I see 50-year-old people doing it. I'm like, what is going on with our world right now?
Transitions and stuff. I'm like, the only transitions I have are my lenses. That's it.
Exactly.
Like,
barely half the time they barely work.
Yeah, exactly.
Garrett, thank you so much for sitting down and chatting today. I know it's a quick interview, but to squeeze you in to have this on, I'm gonna be listening to your music, and I'm looking forward to the next 6 months.
I appreciate it, buddy. Thanks for having me on.
Yes, for sure. We'll be right back with another great interview in a few minutes. Be right back, everyone. Talk to you soon. Welcome back. We are sitting down with country music star Berlin. Berlin, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Let's get this question right out of the gate. What does music mean to you?
It is everything to me. Like, everything I do has to relate with music. It's my favorite thing to do, and I grew up doing it. So.
Hold on 2 seconds here. I apologize right now. You're from Slave Lake, Alberta.
Yes.
I literally worked in Slave Lake, Alberta for the last 5 years.
Really?
Yes. You
Doing
went to
this?
did you go to Roland Michener?
I did.
I
do. I do
know
right
who
now.
you are then.
Really?
Yes.
Oh.
I worked for the town for 5 years. This whole interview has just gone completely sideways because I know Slave Lake, and I know that Slave Lake is very country music. They love their country music.
Yeah.
So for you, growing up in a country music town, what was that like?
It was a really big advantage to me because my mom used to put on concerts and stuff. So I got to open for lots of big names like Kim Mitchell and like the Hunter Brothers. Like on the card, there's all of that was all from Slave Lake.
Wow. Because you have so much music in Slave Lake, and you have the Legacy Center, which is a great performing arts center there. It must be sort of eye-opening now to be here in Calgary at the Canadian Country Music Awards.
Yeah, it is.
So what does that mean to you for someone who started off in a small town to now be here mingling with now your peers like Brett Kissel, Ben Chase, and all that?
It's super cool. Like, my first CCMAs, I was like, oh my god, there's so-and-so. Mom, let's get a picture. And now it's like, Mom, they're like my friends. Like, I don't need a picture with them.
Mom, they're cool. We don't need to take their photo anymore.
Yeah.
So what about music, and this particular country music? And I apologize because I'm just trying to read this quickly. What about it speaks to you? Because you could have gone into many different genres, but you chose country music. What was it about country music?
My favorite thing to do, like if I had to choose anything to do in my day, I would go to a rodeo and go to the dance and sing and like two-step. I just love music and dancing. It's lots of fun.
And does your personal life and your personal experiences, especially as a 17-year-old,
Yeah.
translate into your music, your writing style, your music? Like, how does a 17-year-old sort of come to be where you are now?
Well, it really affects me. Like all the things I go through in my life, I write about them, and it helps me. The more stuff that I go through, I have went through quite a bit. So I have lots of experience with songwriting and stuff just from experiences I have.
And for the songwriting aspect of it, does it come lyrics first, then melody, or melody first, then music?
I'd say lyrics.
Lyrics?
Yeah.
And is it like one little thing that sparks a little moment in your life that says, this could be a song? Or
Yeah.
take me through that process of actually putting pen to paper and getting that juices flowing.
Yeah, it's just like the one little spark. And for example, I was on an airplane and I just was bored sitting there, and I just started writing down different words, and then I put like rhinestone, and then I put like cowgirl, rhinestone cowgirl, like the Rhinestone Cowboy song. So I made my album just from like 2 words on an airplane.
Wow.
So, yeah.
So we always like to look forward on this show. CCMAs are this weekend. What's next for you? Is there a tour coming up? Is there an album coming out? Singles being dropped?
Well, this week, while I'm in Calgary, I'm going to the MCC recording studio, and I'm fixing up 2 songs that I got to pick from a thing that I did with them. I won like 2 free songs, so I'm going to do that, and that should be out in a few months, I'd say, but there's no actual release date on them right now.
So for my listeners and my viewers right now, how can people follow you on social media? Is there any accounts that you have? Is there Spotify that you currently have that has some of your music? What is that?
Well, my Instagram is BerlinBroadhead_, and then I have 2 albums on all music platforms, Apple Music, Spotify, and all you have to look up is just my first name, Berlin, Berlyn.
For those listeners and to viewers right now, and to those who are watching later on, the links to Berlin's music will be in the show notes. They'll be released tomorrow on the website, so please check it out. It's highly recommended. Berlin, thank you so much for sitting down with me.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, and we'll be back with our last guest for the night. Talk to you soon, everyone. Welcome back. We are live with our very last interview
Oh,
for
there's a camera.
There is a
I
camera.
didn't even realize. Sorry, I'm like.
Oh, you can do this, and we can just talk to the camera the whole
This
time
is
if
great.
you want. We are back live with Nate Holler, our last interview for the Media Row at the Canadian Country Music Awards.
Yeah.
Nate, welcome to Calgary. Welcome to
Thank you.
CCMAs. How's it feel to be back here?
It's unreal. Thanks for taking the time to chat.
Hey, always.
It's been so fun doing this. It's been great, and got to do the Unplugged Songwriter thing yesterday, which was awesome. And we got CCMA House tonight and the gala, and it's great. It's a jam-packed weekend, so it's an honor to be here.
What does music mean to you?
And
particularly, what does country music mean to you?
It's everything, honestly. Like, I grew up listening to all types of music. My parents had a lot of different, like, rock and a lot of country, too. They're from Timmins, Ontario.
Woo!
So I had a lot of Shania growing up, and it's always been on in my house. I wasn't necessarily always playing music. That started in high school, but it's such a big part of my life. It's just like, anytime I'm feeling any sort of emotion at all, there's a song.
Does emotion come into play when you're writing music?
100%.
Really?
Yeah.
I find that so fascinating, and since you're the last interview, I'm going to sort of pick at this, pull at the string for a bit, if that's okay with you, Nate. What is it about country music that lets, and I say this with respect, men emote into their music? Because traditionally you think of country music, you think of John Wayne, you think of like the rough and tumble guys, and emotion isn't played into it. But it seems like, and I've had interviews with a lot of interviews today, emotion plays a lot of factors into country music. Why is that?
I don't know, I think always it's just been like crazy, so storytelling. That was the worst way to say it, but you know what I mean. It's okay to do that, and it always has been. I don't really understand why, but
Do you think audience connects with it?
Yeah, 100%. And I think the cool thing about a lot of artists I love, you can see them full band, and then you can see them stripped down, and when they're at these types of rounds and things, and that's the coolest thing, is hearing the story, why they wrote it, who inspired that, and yeah, I love it. I love seeing the stripped down, this is how and why we wrote the song.
So let's talk about Lightning in a Bottle.
Yeah.
Where did this come from? What emotion were you trying to convey here?
I'm actually not a writer on that song.
But you performed it, so
Yes.
you had to connect with it emotionally to say, I want to write this, I want to record this song.
Yeah, you're right. I liked that it was kind of just about new beginnings. In my mind, it was about anything specifically. Everyone's had that bar run-in with someone or meeting someone for the first time, and it was like a thing. So that's what I loved about it, and that's happened to me in my life. And recently, especially with my new single, that's been a big part of
And
my
your new
thing.
single is Sorry?
Ain't Like Me. Yeah.
Sorry, I apologize.
No, that's okay. Yeah.
Have a lot of these interviews today.
That's all good.
Everything's molding into one.
Yeah, it's okay. So yeah, I think the feeling of something new, whether it's a person or something or whatever, is so cool. So that's what I don't know. I was drawn to it because of that.
And your new single, talk to me about the writing style of this song.
This one, Ain't Like Me is just, it fit perfectly what was going on in my life. I met a lady during the pandemic. She's great.
Spoiler
I've been
alert,
I've
love
been
life.
calling her my Quarantina. Yeah. Her name's Jocelyn, and she's incredible. And it just fit, and it had that high energy. I'm also always trying to think of live and how songs are going to come across live, and it had that higher energy thing, and I'm really excited to have put it out and be playing it live this summer. It's been
How was it to write music during the pandemic? Because
weird.
Yeah.
Zoom is great. Excuse me, but this is so much better. Even for radio interviews and any interview is it's kind of lame on a screen. It's fine, but it's not the same writing when you really can't feel another person's energy. I'm big on that, so it's been good to get back face to face for sure.
I agree wholeheartedly with that.
Yeah.
On the show, we always look to the future. What's next? What's coming up? And for you, what is next? Are you getting back on the show, on the road here soon?
I think there's going to be a more full project released later in the fall, I think is the plan. So I'm back into that kind of mode, and I'm going to be writing a lot this fall and getting things figured out for for this record.
So while it's not officially going to be dropping by a date yet, but there is going to be one in the works.
Yep.
Are you
So.
looking forward to it? Because it's
Yes.
always fun to put out these type of things. And for you, I want to ask this question: how hard is it to create an album? Because you have to pick and choose from some great songs that you think are great, and then whittle it down to 10 to 12 songs.
Mm-hmm. And there's other people involved. Like my managers are so great at being like, this is a good song, or this is not a good song, and I like that. I always think best ideas should win, regardless, in a writing room or for the songs that we're putting on the record. I want to make sure it makes sense for me, so it's a genuine thing, all the songs, obviously. And yeah, I'm excited. I think there's some songs I know there's some songs I'm really excited to put on there. So.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. How can people follow you? Is there any social media
Instagram,
that you really want to talk about besides TikTok?
Yeah, I'm not good at TikTok. I do have a TikTok, but it's I'm the Holler.
Okay.
I am the Holler.
Which will be all in the show notes. The links to Nate's Facebook social media accounts will be in the show notes as well.
Nice.
Nate, thank you so much for doing this.
Thank
It's
you.
been
I really
an honor and
appreciate
pleasure.
it.
Greatly appreciate it. We look forward to the new album.
Awesome.
So with that, this is the last interview for the day. This has been the Cross Border Interviews live at the CCMAs. 4 hours of nonstop coverage, and I'm going to go home for a rest now. Talk to you later, everyone.